India Matters on Tuesday night. I'm Shiv Aroor. The Jaish-e-Munir needs no introduction. It is one of the most dangerous and poisonous anti-India terror groups in Pakistan. Well, one of their most senior commanders has made a shocking claim in a public speech today. Except, it's not embarrassing to Pakistan. It's actually embarrassing to Donald Trump, and I will show you why. It's a story tonight. Also, today is a big day for India-US relations. Trade talks preparations have continued today after nearly 2 months of historic hostility and ugliness between the two partners. What do those talks really have to do? We'll tell you about why things are still far off from becoming normal between the two countries. That's coming up. But I begin tonight with our lead story. And that is in our neighbor of where the Jaish-e-Munir, just a few months after being bombed into obliteration as part of Operation Sindur, decided to hold a public rally where one of its senior-most commanders made some claims that you've got to believe.
डर की बात नहीं है। मौलाना की तरबियत, मौलाना का तरीका, उसलूब और मनहज, मौलाना का एतदाल और मौलाना की सच्चाई बता रही है कि भावलपुर के अंदर मासूम 2-2, 4-4, 5 साल के बच्चों के ताबूत निकलते हैं और इधर GHQ उसे आर्मी चीफ ऑर्डर जारी करता है कि इन शुहादा के ताबूतों को सलामी दी जाए और कमांडर इनके ऐसे में शरीक होगा, फजाइया इनके जनाजों पर पहरा देगी, आर्मी के जवान अपनी वर्दी के अंदर इनको सलामी पेश करेंगे। 25 साल सबर, हिम्मत, इस्तिकामत के बाद आज हम रियासत को, बर्री और बहरी फजाई अफवाज को जिहादी नजरिए के ऊपर लेकर आए हैं। ये कल्यातक, ये दहशतगर्दी की बकवास सीने के साथ लगाए इस मुल्क की नजरियाती जुग्राफियाई सरहदों के कभी दिल्ली से टकराए, कभी हम काबुल में टकराए, कभी हम कंधार से टकराए। सब कुछ करने के बाद साथ भावलपुर के अंदर मौलाना मसूद अजहर की फैमिली के लोग, बहने और बेटे और बच्चे रेजा रेजा हो गए, टुकड़ों में तकसीम हो गए।
That's right. One of India's most wanted terrorists, Jaish-e-Munir commander Masood Ilyas Kashmiri, has just had that venomous outburst in Pakistan. But that is not a surprise. That is not what I'm actually calling attention to tonight, viewer. When you've been struck as badly as the Jaish-e-Munir was on the 7th of May in Bahawalpur, their headquarters, when Indian missiles cut into the very heart of the terror syndicate and left even Jaish chief Maulana Masood Azhar's family members dead, then a commander like Masood Ilyas Kashmiri must scream in public just to convince his cadres that they still exist, that they are no longer extinct. This is what Ilyas Kashmiri's rant is really about. No big deal, doesn't really warrant our information, but I'll tell you why it's my lead story tonight. A desperate act of reassurance, an angry attempt to show that the Jaish is not finished, that funerals attended even by the Pakistan Army's men are somehow proof of resilience and not of defeat. That is the message that Ilyas Kashmiri is trying to give out in that speech. But here is why this speech matters more than anything else. This is not just any terrorist. This is the Jaish-e-Munir's senior-most commander speaking jihad in broad daylight, flaunting his linkages with General Asim Munir's army, and doing so just weeks after Munir became Donald Trump's new best friend in the region. Think about what that actually says. A US-designated terror group, the Jaish-e-Munir, for 24 years, whose bosses have killed Indians with impunity, now standing in the open, emboldened, drawing strength from the new love affair between Washington and Rawalpindi. Well, not new, but a renewed relationship, I would call it. India has no illusions about the US-Pakistan relationship. It has played out before, but this time in the aftermath of Operation Sindur, Trump's choice to punish India with tariffs while simultaneously coddling Pakistan has blown apart any pretense of principle. Masood Ilyas Kashmiri is irrelevant in himself. As much as he shouts, he sounds like a clown. He will likely be cut down one day soon by a bullet he never saw coming. Maybe an unknown gunman, who knows? What matters is that his screams actually expose Donald Trump. They show that a man who has spent the last 2 months slapping his allies and friends over trade deals is in bed with one of the world's most notorious terror groups. And in doing so, he has given them the gift of legitimacy, the audacity to speak their poison without any fear of sanction or retribution. This is what Trump's embrace has actually done. That speech you just heard, that has been facilitated, allowed, emboldened, supported, and permitted by Trump's embrace. It has mainstreamed Pakistan's terrorism. What does the speech actually mean in the context of India-Pakistan and India-US relations at a time when things have been topsy-turvy between India and the United States, at a time when India is just a few months away from a historic anti-terror operation, which is how Operation Sindur actually began? You now have Masood Ilyas Kashmiri out in the open, protected by what can only possibly be government-sponsored gunmen, spewing venom at India, confirming the damage that was inflicted by Indian missiles, and also openly and explicitly acknowledging the support that was received by the Pakistan army. None of it a secret, but how does it make the United States look, and what should India really do about it? Let's talk to our experts tonight. Sushant Sareen, who's one of India's best-known Pakistan observers. He's a strategic affairs expert and senior fellow with the ORF. Glenn Carl is a former Deputy National Intelligence Officer for Transnational Threats and a career CIA officer. Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma is a defense analyst. And Kushal Mehra is an author and podcaster who writes and posts frequently about relations that India has with the US as well as with Pakistan. Sushant Sareen, I want to start it off with you. There is nothing extraordinary about this video. It is the usual fare. There are no big takeaways from what Masood Ilyas Kashmiri has said, but there is a context and a timing to this, that has a few takeaways. Some of them I've listed. Maybe you have more. Go ahead, Sushant. What do you think?
No, I think, Shiv, this video is extremely important simply because all these Pakistanis you talk to keep asking you what's the evidence that we are sponsoring terrorism, that there are terrorist groups roaming around in Pakistan with complete impunity. Now you can throw this video on their faces, not that they are so shameless that they'll be ashamed by what they are seeing or they'll be contrite with what they are seeing. And they'll make some stupid excuse, which they always do. So that is one. Secondly, this video is evidence that Pakistan is in violation of United Nations Security Council Resolution 1267, all right? Which, because the Jaish-e-Munir is not just a terrorist organization that has been designated by the United States, but also by the United Nations.
Yeah.
Okay, and there are certain obligations that fall on Pakistan under those resolutions, which means that you can actually go to the FATF and again fling this video on their face and ask them on why they have taken out Pakistan from the grey list and why Pakistan needs to go back, because there were two people in the FATF that were being chased by that organization. One was, of course, that guy Sajid Mir, whom Pakistan had declared dead, and then, like our Lord Jesus Christ, raised him from his grave and presented him and convicted him. Under what charges, nobody really knows. The second guy, which Pakistan continued to say that we have no idea of where this guy is, was Masood Azhar. And the FATF was asking Pakistan about his whereabouts. And finally, that was allowed to pass, that their feet were not held to fire on that. Third, the UN resolutions also mandate Pakistan to impound all the weapons of these kind of groups. Has Pakistan done it? Because if you see the gunmen around this lowlife out there, it's very clear that this is an armed group which is
Yeah,
operating in broad daylight. So, that deniability that the Pakistanis had is no longer there. Just one more point, Shiv. Because there was a lot of attention on the Lashkar-e-Taiba, and because of other problems that the Pakistanis were having with Deobandi terrorist group, including the Taliban and others, and because of the links between the Jaish-e-Mohammed, which
yeah,
is a Deobandi terrorist group, and the Taliban, the Pakistanis thought that they can either drive a wedge or use the Jaish-e-Mohammed once again as a strategic asset. So,
yeah,
one, you will see an uptick in Jaish-e-Mohammed activities in Jammu and Kashmir. Secondly, the Jaish-e-Mohammed has been used, as this lowlife himself confesses on his video, in Kandahar and in Kabul, and of course in
correct.
Kashmir, right? So, what more evidence that somebody wants when a terrorist, with his own and of his own free will, not because he's in the custody of somebody, saying that we have been operating in all these places and that the Pakistan army supports us and is on our back?
Yeah.
I don't know what more evidence you want to say that Pakistan is a terrorist state,
No, that's
but we
a
must
very good
continue
point.
playing cricket with it.
Let me bring Glenn Carl in on this. Glenn, politically and diplomatically, India has never had any illusions, about the realpolitik and the relationship between the US and Pakistan and why US needs Pakistan. But like Sushant Sareen says, what more evidence is required? This is a UN and US designated terror organization whose senior commander is speaking this way. Glenn?
Well, we don't need any more evidence. The CIA, the U.S. intelligence community, all foreign policy officials in the United States have known for decades
Yeah.
that this is what Pakistan does. There's no surprise here. The mistake that we all make is trying to make sense. It seems to be popular today. Is trying to make sense of the Trump administration's policies. There's no coherency. There's no strategy. I'm not insulting. I'm simply noting or assessing based on patterns of behavior. The administration has the foreign policy procedures and strategy in memory of a goldfish, which is about 3 seconds. Why has the United States under Trump started to cozy up again with Pakistan, in part because there are sensible reasons that the U.S. wants to use Pakistan to pressure Iran more and wants help and understanding for what it's doing, whatever it is doing in the Middle East. But probably more than anything, because Pakistan is proposing the Nobel Peace Prize, nominating Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. And I'm not being facetious. There is no strategic coherent set of objectives or actions coming out of the United States. The United States contradicts itself every day with regard to India, with regard to Pakistan, with regard to China, with regard to Israel, with regard to Russia, Ukraine, Europe, trade, and so on. So that's what's going on. The facts are not new. It's just that there is strategic incoherence and selfish,
you're right, Glenn.
solipsistic, narcissistic
The facts
behavior
are
in the
not
Oval
new,
Office.
and they're especially confounding because of the context of what has taken place this year. Yes, Sushant, you just raised your hand. Quick point, then I'll go to the other guests. Yeah.
Yeah, very quickly. The surprising and rather the shocking thing is that just recently you had the CENTCOM chief, who I would imagine is not, a Trump lackey,
Yeah.
saying that Pakistan is a stalwart ally in the fight against terrorism. Damn it, are you out of your mind that you think that a terrorist state like Pakistan, which is sponsoring these terror organizations, which are operating openly, is going to fight terrorism? So I simply cannot understand what's wrong with American generals. I can understand what's wrong with American politicians. But what's wrong with American generals? Because their
Yeah.
people, his men are the guys who lost over 2,000 lives in Afghanistan because of the double games that the Pakistanis played. All of that is forgiven. What kind of superpower is this?
No, I agree. I agree. The Central Command Chief was also decorated by Pakistan. It was another general, but very shortly after calling Pakistan an awesome partner when it comes to the war on terror. Much of this is familiar, but I do agree with Sushant when he says, what more do you actually need? General Rakesh Sharma, coming to you, all of this seems so familiar. We've seen this very man, Masood Ilyas Kashmiri, speak in this manner before. But Sushant is right when he says, everything is on the table for action to be taken, but it won't.
So thank you, Shiv, for inviting me. Now, the fact is that there is no doubt, and no doubt in the mind of the United States is also, and the establishment, that there is duplicity on part of Pakistan. Whether you may call it back David Headley, or you call it what this fellow has been talking about, hitting in Kabul and Kandahar. He was finally hitting American soldiers who died, and it was being done by organizations of his. So it's well understood. The fact is that the Americans have their own interests in Pakistan and in the area around it, and they have to take advantage of Pakistan in any which way, whether to against the Middle East, or the issues of Iran or Afghanistan or the Central Asia. For them, Pakistan is so important that they can obliterate the issues about what the Pakistanis have been doing historically and even doing now. So, when they weigh themselves, they also show the same kind of duplicity in which for them Pakistan is very important, and they can forget about what Pakistan is doing to sponsor terrorism. So it's the way the politics works, the way the geopolitics works, and the geopolitics in this way, Pakistan's importance cannot be underwritten by the noises being made by the terrorists, who are well recognized, they are well authenticated. They have in 1267 committee. They have that those things matter separately. So while getting the policy through, in the policy it is important that they make a chummy relationship with Pakistan, as they call Nawaz Sharif is going to meet President Trump again in next 10 odd days. So the fact is that it matters to Shahbaz Sharif. So it matters to them that Pakistan must be kept on the right side, and that's why. And Pakistanis also manage Americans so well. It's a treat to see how President Biden got an award in 2008. They could see what is going to happen in future. They awarded him 2008.
No, but the larger question also is, at a sanctions level, at an action level, of course, what the US matters, it does actually matters. But Kushal, as someone who watches these relationships and how they've unfolded, especially this year, and given the fact that India has unilaterally taken action against the Jaish-e-Mohammed, let's not forget that it is because of the action taken on May 7th that this speech is even being given by Masood Ilyas Kashmiri. Are we making too much of a brouhaha over, Trump being in bed with Pakistan in the context of what we're talking about tonight?
Well, good evening, Shiv, and good evening to everyone else. I think we should just accept the inevitable. Every country in geopolitics looks at their own selfish interests, and it's time that India also starts openly talking about it. It's not like India doesn't, but we should openly talk about it. I think under Trump, it's just very weird. Like Trump is the epitome of WWE diplomacy. Someone's shit talking, somebody's doing something, then the terrorists become martyrs, the martyrs become terrorists. It's all over the place. It's just Trump, I think, is a more uncensored version of how Americans like to do things. I think we should just reciprocate and look at our personal interests. I don't know why. See, the old Indian way of feeling offended or feeling, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? We should just be like, okay, you are Besharam, we are Besharam on steroids. So I think we should follow that strategy. I don't know why we look at morality in any of this foreign policy thing. It's clear America thinks Pakistan is important. It is not going to change from one administration to the other. It's just that the Trump administration is more brazen about it. What's the difference between what the Biden administration thought of Pakistan, or the one previous to it, or the one previous to it?
No, very true. Sushant, quickly in, and then I'll try and get a word in from Glenn and General Sharma. Sushant, the fact that what Trump is doing is basically just a kind of more in-your-face version of previous US administrations is also something that you've also, opined before. Should it bother us that the US has all these contradictions and hypocrisies as far as Pakistani terror is concerned? Or is it time we did something about it vis-a-vis United States?
Shiv, all countries have contradictions and all countries have hypocrisy and all countries have double standards, including India. But there are certain red lines, certain things which countries feel very strongly about. Countries, especially like the United States, have taken a leadership role in the war on terrorism. In fact, that word was coined, or that phrase was coined by the United States. The United States, built this entire coalition against it. And I don't think we are going crying to Papa or Daddy, as the Europeans would like to call Donald Trump. We are not going crying. What we are doing is showing a mirror to the US administration that, look, this is what you people have been saying. And these are the kind of people you've been dealing with. That does not mean that they are going to stop simply because we are showing them the mirror. They will do what they think is going to be in their interest. But I agree with Kushal to that point that, to the extent that we will do what then works for us. And we don't have to listen to them on everything simply because it's in the American interest that we should not do something. And we've done it in the past. Whether it was during, Parakram, when we didn't go out for an all-out war, which we should have at that point of time. One of the reasons was that the Americans felt that their war effort in Afghanistan will get disturbed by what we do. That was there were other reasons as well. But that was one very important reason why, we kind of pulled back after that. But the point is that if the Americans are going to play this game, and I agree with Kushal to that point, to that extent, that we must do what we need to do. If that means we need to strike at these guys again, I think let them build another mosque, a grander mosque, and then we should go and blow it up again. And let them build it again and we'll blow it up again, Yeah, we can do that. And if the Pakistanis think that, they are going to do something about it, then let's have it out. Because, enough is enough. Enough people and enough blood has been shed in India.
No, I agree.
And I don't think we can agree with it anymore, except for the fact that we should continue playing cricket with them. Because that is what makes money for everyone.
You're absolutely right. At the standoff military tactical level, I think India has made its message very clear about, nothing being out of range, nothing being off the table in terms of what can actually be hit. And that was demonstrated over 4 days during Operation Sindur. There is no dispute about that. But Glenn Carl, India-US relations now sort of stand at a precarious point. It's been a few months of turbulence. Some, hostile things have been said. Today happens to be, a good day for relations because the two sides are talking once again about moving towards that trade deal. But there is a trust deficit. In your view, Glenn, do you believe that terror, which is something that India does feel very strongly about, even though it is practical about the US-Pakistan relationship, that there should be some kind of a substantive action or gesture from the United States on this issue?
That would be nice from India's perspective, but we shouldn't make the mistake of considering all Islamic terrorist groups as identical from a policy perspective for the United States or for India or for anyone else. Consistently, without exception, my colleagues...
FTO according to the US.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my colleagues and I, for years, and it's continued by my successors, have complained to the Pakistanis about Jaish-e-Munir and other groups, while at the same time working with the Pakistanis against Al-Qaeda when I was working and other groups today. And at the operational level, being frustrated that we would just be lied to brazenly and dismissed, of course, by the Pakistanis, but instructed by our American masters that the political priorities dictated that we had to ignore some things and collaborate on others. That will not change. There's a recognition that the terrorists are terrorists, Islamically inspired jihadists and so on, but the political priorities change. I would say that it is an error on all of our parts to say that Trump is just a continuation in a more crude way of Americans, however. Trump has undone within a couple of months 25 years of laborious work by Indians and Americans to develop a strategic relationship. It's not definitively undone, but he is qualitatively and substantively different. That's an error to say he's just the George Bush with the bad language.
I doubt that India is under any grand delusions that there is going to be some kind of a big disproportionate gesture from the Trump administration or from any administration for that matter. But given where things are right now, given how transactional things have become between the two countries, is someone going to put their money where their mouth is as far as terror is concerned, go the distance? India certainly has as far as Pakistan is concerned. The question now is whether Trump will do the same. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with me on story number 1 tonight on India Matters. Former Pakistan cricket opener Mohammad Yusuf, or Yusuf Yohana as his name is, has just called India's cricket captain Surya Kumar Yadav a pig, a sewer. If you are outraged by this juvenile, slightly puerile profanity by a sportsman weaned on a diet of anti-Indian poison like most Pakistanis, then you probably do not understand the Pakistan of today or the patronage it enjoys within certain section of India's own public life. Now, this is a country whose sporting culture is inseparable from its jihadist mindset. And I don't say that lightly. A country where cricketers, past and present, think nothing of spewing venom about India in public. You'll never hear Indian cricketers say anything of this kind about Pakistani cricketers or Pakistanis in general, ever. But the real story is not Mohammad Yusuf's so-called insult in calling Sky a sewer. The real story is the ecosystem in India that pleads for cricket and politics to be separated, that argues for ties with Pakistan to continue even when its sportspersons behave like venomous propagandists. This is the same Pakistan that whines to the ACC about not being offered handshakes after being humiliated on the field in a match that, in my view, should not have ever been played. The same Pakistan where figures like Shahid Afridi routinely spit poison about India, and yet just today, Afridi is on a video praising Rahul Gandhi for being positive-minded. That is this ecosystem at work. So when Mohammad Yusuf calls India's captain a pig, it is not just an insult from across the border. It's also a test for those in India who continue to believe in the fantasy of separating cricket from terror. They do not mind that India's captain has been abused on television by a Pakistani cricketer, and the less said about the BCCI, the better. You know I've said quite a bit here on my show. For years, they have tiptoed around these issues, playing politics with promises of not mixing terror when it suits them, caving in. India couldn't care less about Mohammad Yusuf's insult or being called a sewer. What is hard to digest is the willful blindness of those at home who choose to ignore what Pakistani sport and Pakistani sportsmen truly represent. And now on to the third story that we are tracking right now. This is the story of Pooja Khedkar, the IAS fraud who was sacked last year. Her parents kidnapped a truck driver after colliding with his truck, and they are still absconding. 48 hours on, the parents of Pooja Khedkar, Dilip and Manorama, who are charged with kidnapping a truck driver after colliding with his truck in Navi Mumbai, have gotten into the family Land Cruiser vehicle and they are farar. Nobody knows where they are. The police claim to be hunting them, but 48 hours on, they are still on the run. Can you believe it, viewer? Can you believe that we live in a country where in Mumbai something like this happens? A family that has political connections, their daughter has just been humiliatingly thrown out of the IAS. They've kidnapped someone, and 48 hours later, the police claim they have no idea where the Khedkars are. Fraud daughter, mafia parents, kidnapped driver after that accident, and nobody knows where they are. Let me go across to Radhika Ramaswamy, who's with me live from Mumbai tonight. Radhika, where are Manorama Khedkar and Dilip Khedkar? This is beyond ludicrous. You know, it is one thing to call them a mafia family, but we are not talking about some boondocks or obscure remote area of the country. This is Mumbai and Pune, for God's sake.
Absolutely. It is quite shocking and brazen the way Pooja Khedkar's family members have been evading law for the longest time. Not the first time this has happened. They've been breaking law, evading law, and they are facing multiple criminal charges. And again, not the first time they've been facing criminal charges. They've been charged for assault, kidnapping, and also obstructing cops from doing their duty. In fact, we know about Pooja Khedkar, her history, and how she, in fact, misrepresented her identity to become an IAS trainee. That is something that we had covered in depth. And of course, post that, her mother, who had brandished gun and threatened a bunch of farmers as well, for which, again, they were charged under multiple sections. And this time for kidnapping a driver because they met with an accident with that particular truck, and therefore the truck cleaner was abducted and he was confined to their residence. So absolutely shocking what had transpired over the last few days. And now the fact that they are evading the law, they are not to be traced, they're completely untraceable for the last 48 hours. Of course, multiple teams have been formed to trace them. This has happened before when Pooja Khedkar was in the limelight. There were multiple complaints against her and FIRs had been lodged. She was untraceable at the time, and then cops had to trace her. Something similar with her parents as well. We'll really have to see how things will pan out in the days to come, whether they'll finally be arrested. But a lot of questions being raised on their misconduct, series of incidents of misconduct, and how the authorities really let them loose, let them get away as a result of perhaps their influential status or privileges they enjoy. But authorities and cops really have a lot of answering to do, because this is not the first time they've been breaking and evading law.
Radhika, keep tracking that story. I will come back to you tomorrow as well. Incredible that this family is still on the run and the police don't even have an update. We're taking a very quick break here on India Matters. On the other side, today is a good day, like I said, as far as India-US relations are concerned. Trade talks have begun once again, at least the preparations for them. But I still have to fact-check the Trump administration. I have to fact-check them one last time, perhaps. And that's coming up.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Finesta Windows. Beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Fine, finer, Finesta.
My birthday gift to पापा। ये उनके पापा की पहली गाड़ी एक गराज में पड़ी थी दार्जिलिंग में। फिर 3 मैकेनिक, पेंटिंग, पॉलिशिंग। जब इसे फाइनली घर लाया ना, तब लगा लाइफ में ग्रो किया है।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
गोल्ड प्लस ऑप्टिमिस्टिक रिफ्लेक्टिव ग्लास लगाओ, धूप की गर्मी को दूर भगाओ और बिजली का बिल भी बचाओ।
फिनेस्टा विंडोज। ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स। इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Fine, finer, Finesta.
And after at least 2 months of hostility between the United States and India, Finally, the decks have been cleared today for the resumption of trade talks between India and the United States. This is despite the chief trade advisor to Donald Trump continuing to put out the narrative that the US has forced India to the talks table. I will show you how it is exactly the opposite. But the good news is that the two sides have talked. NDTV has been told by our sources familiar with the situation that the talks have been positive. Brendan Lynch, the trade representative of the United States, was here today. 7 hours of talks and they were all positive. But Peter Navarro continues to insist that it is the belligerent pressure tactics of the United States that has forced India to come to the talks table. And I'm going to show you why that is completely false.
Yeah, India's coming to the table. Modi, I don't even know.
Are they the worst? You call them the Maharaja of tariffs?
The Maharaja of tariffs. But Joe, the Modi, Prime Minister Modi sounded very conciliatory, nice, constructive tweet, whatever they do in India. And President Trump responded to that. We'll see that. This is how this works. But is it practical? No. That on the trade side, they have the highest tariffs of any major country. They have very high non-tariff barriers. We have to with that, like we do with every other country that does that.
Well, as India and the United States put months of ugly, mostly one-sided hostilities behind them and began groundwork today for trade talks, lubricated by a sudden spasm of personal positivity last week between Trump and Modi, it looks like Peter Navarro, the chief trade advisor to Trump, didn't get the memo, because Trump's chief trade advisor and resident attack dog, as he's being called in the Indian press, is still being his crabby, racist, patronizing self. Peter Navarro has claimed that India is now coming to the table, like you just heard, and that Prime Minister Narendra Modi sent out a conciliatory, constructive tweet to which President Trump responded. Well, time to fact-check that because details matter. First, it was Trump who first posted, calling Modi his close personal friend. Modi then responded. Details and sequence matter. Second, India has not come to any table. It is the US trade representative who has flown into India to talk to the Indian side, not the other way around. Now, I'm not nitpicking because today is a good day that the talks have actually begun because India and the United States are important partners, but these are just facts and we never want to get facts wrong. Let us not forget what the world has just witnessed. A stunning one-sided offensive by the United States for weeks together against India, one of its closest partners in the region. Racist, casteist, and deeply disrespectful language hurled at Indians by Peter Navarro and some of his White House colleagues like Lutnick and Besant. While Navarro was being offensive, India was busy engaging with Putin and Xi. While Trump was speaking the language of a bully, India was unveiling fresh economic reforms. While Lutnick and Besant described India as some vassal state that must obey or pay a price, India was strengthening its made in India steel frame. So when Peter Navarro says India has come to the talks table, what he really means is that he has been forced there. This is him grudgingly crying himself to sleep, in my view, while watching his boss prepare to hug the very leader he's been insulting non-stop through his team for the last 2 months. You can spin it whichever way you want. You can call it the brand of Trump, the world of Trump, and that these are only orders being received by these people. But the fact is simple, India has not bent. India has not broken. India has not responded in a knee-jerk manner. It is the United States that has been forced back to the table, having learned a frustrating lesson that insult and contempt only makes India stronger. I want to remind you of where things are at between India and the United States as they prepare the groundwork for the 6th round of trade talks. Here's a reminder of what the United States want. They want market access for agri and dairy products, which is something that is very sensitive for India. They want the reduction of non-tariff barriers. They want tariff reductions on industrial and mechanical goods, lower tariffs to enhance competitiveness of US products in India. Now let me show you what India wants from any trade deal. Full exemption from US tariffs. Currently it's at 50%. Complete relief from 26% reciprocal tariffs. India also wants duty concessions for labor-intensive sectors, which are India's edge, and a social security agreement, which is also very important for India. Now, let me just take you through the trade tensions and how things are much better today as those talks actually kicked off. 50% tariff imposed on India by Trump. Remember that. The Prime Minister says India will not bow, will put its interests first. That's what the Prime Minister said in Gujarat. The action taken by the Trump administration, advisors and aides accuse India of fueling the Russia-Ukraine war. The reaction from India continues to buy Russian crude oil, calls out Western hypocrisy, and in fact in August took its import of Russian oil even to a higher level, almost matching China. Then the third action by the Trump administration said the US is India's biggest market. The reaction, Prime Minister pushes the Buy Swadeshi campaign, Make in India, Buy India. Then there was an action, a US threat of secondary sanctions. India reacted by a strategic alignment with Russia and China at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Tianjin just a few days ago. Let's get an expert view on what is, after many weeks of turbulence and uncertainty and volatility between India and the United States, finally a positive day for the two countries. Peter Navarro, in many ways, is now hopefully a sideshow. He has hopefully served his purpose, and now it is between the leadership of the two countries to move towards a real and substantive, mutually beneficial bilateral trade agreement. Raymond Vickery, former US Assistant Secretary of Commerce, is live with me, and also Ashok Malik, partner and chair in India with the Asia Group. Thanks very much to the both of you for being with me. Ashok Malik, I would like to come to you first. A positive day, 7 hours of discussions today after what seemed like an endless meandering tirade and deterioration in relations between the two countries, but they seem to be positive now. What is your reading? Are the two countries genuinely moving towards a beneficial bilateral trade agreement?
Thanks for having me, Shiv. Despite the rhetoric of the past few weeks, which has sometimes been ugly, admittedly, the fact is that two sides, the USTR and the Indian Commerce Ministry, have more or less reached a trade deal and have closed the text, or more or less closed the text, on tranche 1A of the bilateral trade agreement. Of course, any trade agreement can always be improved, and there will be bells and whistles discussed and added to. Even in agriculture, there is scope to do a lot. Yes, we can't buy wheat and milk in a big way from the US, but we can buy even soybean for certain industrial uses, though it's GM soybean, not for human consumption, but for industrial uses. We can buy sorghum and corn for ethanol production, or in the case of sorghum for livestock feed. So, and certain types of nuts, certain types of fruit.
Yes.
In industrial commodities which can aid Indian manufacturing. There is an enormous basket of goods and commodities that India can import from the US. And I understand that is already part of the text that's been negotiated. I am fairly confident that we will have a trade deal because, quite honestly, it's not the substance of the agreement that the two sides have been negotiating that has been the problem in the past few weeks, excuse me, is the politics.
Yeah.
If the politics is now being managed by the two principals who have reached out to each other on social media, then chances of a trade deal actually fructifying are much higher.
It's good to hear that because, it has been very difficult, Ashok, and you know this, to ignore the politics because it was unprecedented in many ways. India and the US do have a turbulent past, but, in our lifetimes, I would say this was something that was genuinely a spectacle. Raymond, what is your reading? If we were to put aside the very damaging things that have been said, and said even as recently as a couple of days ago by members of the Trump administration, do you feel positive about a trade deal now?
Well, thanks very much for having me. Peace and prosperity must be waged just like war, and that requires that you have a strategy, that you have partners, and that you have an economic component to that strategy. Unfortunately, President Trump has none of these. He views everything like a real estate transaction, that there's going to be a winner and a loser, and he's going to come out and show that he's the winner. What is going on here is really a relaxation of Trump's interest in India is something that can aggrandize him. Thank goodness for Prime Minister Modi, Minister Goyal, Minister Jaishankar, that they haven't risen to the bait, but have been steady throughout this. They also, it seems to me, have realized a previous mistake of Howdy Modi and Namaste Trump, and a belief that you could deal with this sort of mindset of a real estate transaction in an ordinary way. At a working level, we've long had a deal on the table. Even in Trump 1, we were close to a free trade agreement, which basically vetoed, and that's happened again. These two countries, these two great democracies, have to be able to work together if we're going to ameliorate any of the problems that face the world in regard to peace and prosperity. And the problem is we have to get past this transaction and let the true interests of India and the United States work together so that we get a deal and move on and try to put this behind us. You know, there's strong bilateral support in the United States, Republican and Democratic alike, through previous administrations for the relationship, and I have every belief that eventually it'll come back to the surface. But unfortunately, this has pushed us into this transaction mode.
I completely agree. And, I imagine that things are being dealt with substantially differently, Ashok, and I want you to weigh in on that. There must have been so many learnings in terms of how to deal with this sort of real estate approach. That in itself is not new. We've known that before in the first Trump administration, and I imagine Indian diplomats are well aware of how Trump does things. But the things that have been said, the politics that sort of took over the relationship over the last couple of months, how would that color how we're negotiating now going forward?
I'll come to the first part of your question first. Actually, the Indian government, Indian diplomats, Prime Minister Modi, Mr. Goyal, realized well in advance, in fact, of President Trump being sworn in, that trade and tariffs would be a very important part of his agenda. And which is why India, unlike many other countries, was not negotiating tariffs. It offered to negotiate a trade deal, a trade agreement, which is unusual, which is different from many other countries. And the Indian offer, yes, there were trade negotiations in Trump 1.0, I recognize that. But the Indian offer this time is substantially different and much more ambitious. It is the most ambitious trade offer and market access offer India has ever made to any partner. The Indian side has really gone out of its way. It is a win-win for both countries because fundamentally these are two economies that are not hostile to each other, that are not threats to each other. They are complementary economies. And there is the Indian side, quite honestly, negotiated in good faith. Of course, any deal can be improved upon. Now that the rhetoric is hopefully behind us, and the two principals have both indicated that they would want a trade deal to go ahead because they recognize the opportunity cost is very high. I'm confident that, reasonably confident that we will have a deal. Does that mean all problems are solved forever? I'm not suggesting that. The political price of the past few weeks and some of the rhetoric that's been heard is there, and it will be paid by the relationship. But if we can manage to get the tranche 1A of the bilateral trade agreement done, it would certainly be a big achievement, and it would give a lot of economic stakeholders in this relationship, including businesses in both countries, a lot of relief.
Raymond, one of the consequences of the last couple of months and some of the things that the Trump administration and Trump himself and his people have said have sort of confirmed to not just the Indian political establishment but also the public some of some of many historical fears about doing business with the United States. And, these go back many decades, and you know this very well. Is it going to be difficult to bridge that? You have said that India standing up to some of these pressure tactics by Trump, has been a very good thing. But going forward, do you think that's sustainable for the two democracies? Trump isn't going to be there forever, but it has had a deep-seated effect.
Well, I think that it has had a deep-seated effect. I think he's done more damage in 24 hours than we were able to do good in 30 years of trying to overcome past discontinuities between the U.S. and India. It is always a matter of trust and building trust, and we've worked at it for 30 years. Through many difficulties, through Republican and Democratic administrations alike. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to wipe that out overnight. It's going to take a long, hard slog. But India, of course, needs to look not just at what it can do to oppose and to say that, yes, we're making India great again, just like MAGA is making America great again. That's not the right approach. What has to happen is India looks to its own interest. What are its interests in lowering tariffs and entering in more competition? What are its interests in being able to reach out and further its values across the world? This idea that you can have a fortress USA, a fortress India, a fortress China, and it's not going to work together is disastrous in the long run. So yes, we're making some progress, but it's going to be a long time, it seems to me, before many in India, particularly those in the populace who don't deal with this every day, to forget the kinds of remarks that have been made by idiots like Peter Navarro and others in regard to the U.S.-India relationship. But I have every hope and belief. I've been coming to India since 1964 when I was a Fulbright, and I've seen it go up and down and back and forth. But the long-run trajectory is for cooperation between these two greatest democracies in the world.
Raymond, if you've been visiting India since 1964, then you've literally seen the best and the worst of this relationship. So I'm going to take your word for it most definitely. Ashok, final word to you. The India-US relationship is more than a substantive one. There are sensitive aspects to it. There is intelligence sharing. There's a large defense and military trade aspect to it, quite apart from just the trade. Do you think the trust, any damage to trust between the two countries over the last couple of months will have a bearing on any of this? Will there have to be more guardrails? Will India be doing things differently beyond just the trade relationship as far as the US is concerned?
Look, the manner in which Washington, or certain people in Washington and close to the administration or the administration have spoken about India, the manner in which India was singled out for punishment almost for buying oil from Russia, which is perfectly legitimate, and no other country was touched. That will have a cost. Of course, if we have a trade deal, it will offset some of that damage, but some damage will remain, and one needs to recognize that public opinion and broader systemic and political opinion in this country has been affected by the events of the past few weeks. That can't go away in a hurry. But a good trade deal, which is good for both countries, would certainly help alleviate some of those pains.
We'll have to wait and see. Thank you very much, Raymond and Ashok, for being with me. This was illuminating. We all hope that there will be a positive trade deal. The India-US relationship is an old one. It's a deep one. It has many different layers. There are huge people-to-people ties as well. And hopefully the damage of the last 2 months will be repaired, and the trade deal, whenever it comes, will be the beginning of that. It's a wrap here on India Matters. Thanks so much for watching. Padmaja comes up next with The Buck Stops Here.
Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
फिनिस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनिस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइनर फिनिस्टा।
जब मुंबई से वापस कोल्हापुर शिफ्ट हुआ तो सबने कहा कि ड्रीम सिटी को छोड़ रहा है। ड्रीम सिटी, तो मैंने कहा ड्रीम में तो यही गलियां आती हैं। तो जब ये रियलाइज़ हुआ कि कुछ बड़ा करने के लिए बड़े शहर में रहने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, तब लगा कि लाइफ में ग्रो किया। कशी ताई, ऐसे बॉय मिलते मुंबई में? चांस ही नहीं।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
The best app to use is the NDTV app.
दुनिया भर में जब भी भारतीय मीडिया की चर्चा होती तो NDTV सबसे पहले जिक्र में आता है।
मैं आपका बात से सहमत हूं। उल्टे हम भी जब विदेश जाते हैं, the best app to use is the NDTV app.
We're the only country with such a large population of youth and yuva.
Pure talent और कुछ नहीं है।
बुलाने वाला फ्यूचर काफी अच्छा है स्पोर्ट्स का।
Luck, patience and a lot of tolerance.
Life can change overnight.
जीवन में मैंने कोशिश की है सदैव चुनौती को अपनाने।
We need to work towards an egalitarian society, regardless of gender and orientation.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold
CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Good evening and thanks for tuning in to NDTV 24/7. I'm Padmaja Joshi, and on every story, every issue that matters, the buck stops here. Will Pakistan play UAE tomorrow or not? Will they now exit the Asia Cup? Will they put their pride above prize money? Or will they slink right back and pretend that nothing happened, hoping that people will forget that they were throwing a hissy tantrum just a few hours ago? That is a million-dollar question now. Ever since Pakistan declared yesterday, after being humiliated by India, that we want the match referee gone or else. Basically, after India refused a post-match handshake to Pakistan, a rattled PCB demanded that match referee Andy Pycroft be removed, else Pakistan would quit the tournament. The ICC, however, remained. The cricket body rejected Pakistan's demand to remove Pycroft and said that handshake is non-mandatory and not enforceable by the Code of Conduct anyway. Now, the ICC refusing to listen to their tantrum, an existential dilemma stares Pakistan in the face. Will they forfeit tomorrow's game against UAE and exit Asia Cup, or will they return to the pitch quietly, tails between their legs? Right now, the second scenario seems more likely, with sources telling NDTV that today the Pakistan team will be attending their practice session, which starts about 9:30 p.m. That is half an hour from now India time, and will continue right up till 12:30 at night. And sources also tell us that they will be there playing UAE tomorrow. Remember, Pakistan has to win tomorrow in order to find a place in Super 4, where they will again face off against India on the 21st, with the world now laughing at their false show of bravado, which really eventually came to nothing, the frustration beginning to tell. And the result of that is that the same Pakistan that was preaching about sportsman spirit just 24 hours ago now has its former cricketers spewing invective on air. The most despicable example of that has come from former Pakistani captain Mohammad Yusuf.
जेफ बैकवर्ड की बात ना कर रहे हैं। असल में ये फिल्मी दुनिया से नहीं निकल पा रहे। हाँ जी, फिल्मी दुनिया से बेचारे वो हर वक्त फिल्म ही चल रही है वहाँ। ये सूर्य कुमार जो है, सूर्या कुमार यादव, अच्छा सूर्या कुमार यादव, सूर्य कुमार यादव, इसने जो है और इंडिया को देखें शर्म आनी चाहिए जिस तरह जीतने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, अंपायर को साथ मिला के रेफरी के जरिए टॉर्चर करवा रहे हैं। तो ये एक हाई नोट है। आप देखें उनके अंपायर की उंगली शायद मोदी को दे दी थी, जब हम लोग आउट करते थे तो वो भाई उंगली नहीं उठती थी, बांध देते थे, हाथ बांध देते, पता नहीं।
बीसीसीआई को कहा, बीसीसीआई ने अपने प्लेयर्स को कहा कि ये वो सारा, अगर इसलिए कि रिएक्शन बहुत ज्यादा आ रहा है तो तुम लोगों ने इन चीजों को इस तरह कवर करना है कि हाथ नहीं मिलाना। मेरे ख्याल में स्पोर्ट्समैन स्पिरिट और जो जेंटलमैन था वो तो उन्होंने बिल्कुल वाड़ ही दिया, और दुनिया में एक दफा दोबारा शर्म का सामना करना पड़ेगा इनको। बाकी मैं समझता हूं कि आई थिंक जो हमारा स्टांस था वो बिल्कुल ठीक था। बिल्कुल मैं समझता हूं कि बिल्कुल वही स्टांस लेना चाहिए था जो लिया चेयरमैन ने लिया, या अभी तक जो चीजें चल रही हैं बहुत सारी जो सुनने को मिल रही है, बात होगी उस पर, लेकिन वो स्टांस भी ओवरऑल बहुत जबरदस्त है। और मैं समझता हूं कि हमेशा कहता रहा हूं कि आप अच्छे एम्बेसडर बनो, एम्बेरसमेंट ना बनो मुल्क की।
And that brings us to the big questions today, on which the buck stops here. Will Pakistan stay true to its boycott threat and exit the Asia Cup, or will it quietly do some humiliating backpedaling? What does one make of this vile language that is being used by Pakistani cricketers? Is it their frustration telling, or a display of what they really make of the sportsman spirit, the spirit of sports that they keep talking about? This is now on display. Joining us now is a TMC MP and former cricketer Kirti Azad. Also joining us is former cricketer Deep Das Gupta. Kirti Azad, I'll start with you first. Thanks very much for speaking to us here on NDTV 24/7. What do you think Pakistan is going to do? Their options are very, very limited. Are they going to beat a quiet and humiliating retreat? What do you think?
I don't care a damn about Pakistan. Who cares about Pakistan, whether they pull out or they don't? It's none of my concern. And I feel that, first of all, we shouldn't have played. We should have shown our protest. We have done that. We saw that when apartheid was in Rhodesia and South Africa. We also saw the Western Bloc completely withdrawing themselves from the 1980 Moscow Olympics. I don't care about Pakistan. Who the hell are they? Whether they withdraw or they don't withdraw.
100%, and that is why eventually when we did play the match as well, there was a statement that was made by the Indian cricket captain. Subsequent to that, PCB said that we want the match referee removed. ICC though has rejected that demand. What are the options before Pakistan now? Will they have to withdraw from the Asia Cup?
Again, I told you, I don't care a damn what they do. It's what Asia Cup? You have Oman, you have Dubai, you have Dubai, or countries like that playing in this tournament. What? This has no value. It's not affiliated to ICC. So why the hell we have to go and play with them? For whom? For what? People, those who said देश के गद्दारों को और गोली मारो सालों को, you see that Anurag Thakur and Jai Shah, the son of the Honorable Home Minister of India, sitting with Shahid Afridi, who's been spitting venom against India. They are sitting there laughing and watching the game together. What is this? On one side, the Prime Minister says that the Operation Sindur is on, and you go and India gives permission. Go and be Chashme Padur with Pakistan. No trade, no terror, no talks, no water will flow, talks can't be together. And this is what is happening. So why are you talking about Pakistan? Talk about India. The entire India is saying देश के गद्दारों को गोली मारो सालों को.
No, fair point. And that conversation has been had, and for very long, everyone in India is talking about it. What was the need to have that match whatsoever? But tomorrow's scenario for Pakistan, Deep Das Gupta, what do you think are their options? Do they have to now walk back on their earlier threat and look a little silly?
I mean, it is baffling. I mean, when I looked at their the one is the Twitter post, the X post, and the complaint and all, it does not make sense. I believe the complaint says that the match referee should be removed because he's done something wrong against the MCC laws. But the spirit of cricket or spirit of the game is a term which is not part of cricketing laws, by the way. It's just in the preamble before the laws, right? So it's part of the preamble. Spirit of the game and all of that. It is not part of law. So on what basis are you asking for the sacking of the match referee? So that was that was never going to happen, right? So, I mean, I don't know who advises them, but that was it's baffling. They went that route. But it's difficult now. I mean, it's difficult for them. They've already said a lot of things. I thought that was a knee-jerk reaction. They've even sacked the director of international cricket. What was that gentleman supposed to do? A gentleman called, I think, Osman Wala. What was he supposed to do? So, I mean, there's so much of knee-jerk reaction, and now they find themselves in quite a tricky surface.
Tricky, to say the least, but the question also is, if they decide to boycott tomorrow's match, they'll be out of Asia Cup altogether. Can they take that hit, Deep Das Gupta? Is it something that's even feasible for Pakistan at this point, or it was more bark and less bite?
I mean, the kind of cricket that they're playing, and I mean, they might as well do that. I mean, that might just, save a little bit of face there. I mean, to be fair, I mean, listen, they're all good individual cricketers, but they haven't played good cricket. Rather than focusing on the cricket and the system and how to improve Pakistan cricket, because a strong Pakistan cricket would only help the cricketing ecosystem. You want, strong sides, and traditionally strong sides to be strong. But then obviously last couple of years, it's not the same. Pakistan cricket hasn't been the same. They haven't played, that kind of cricket. So I think it's time for them to start thinking inwards and start thinking about how to improve performances and the system itself, rather than going around, kind of deflecting the main issue here.
And to be fair to them, just to be absolutely clear on that, they have technically not said that we are going to withdraw. It was just something that Mohsin Naqvi said on Twitter. So they can easily say, well, Twitter is not really official communication. So to be fair to them, they might just be playing tomorrow, Deep Das Gupta.
I mean, like you said, this is not the first time they'll go back on something that they've said or whatever. So, yeah. So to be honest, Padmaja, I'm all right. I'm not too fussed about it. If they want to play, they play. If they don't, because they're not the same kind of team they used to be, let's say 2-3 years ago. And the competition itself, I mean, when you kind of sitting and watching a tournament like Asia Cup, one of the obviously marquee games is that India-Pakistan game. But look at how the games have gone about in the last couple of years. It's not even a contest now. So, I mean, yeah, to be, like I said, not too fast.
Well, it seems nobody is too fussed at this point. Nobody is really going to miss Pakistan all that much, even if they do decide to withdraw. But Kirti Azad, you are understandably incensed about the fact that India has to play with them at all. What do you make of the message that was sent out by Surya Kumar Yadav, not shaking hands? None of the niceties were extended to Pakistan. Do you think that was enough?
Padmaja, let us listen. Whether are we fooling ourselves or fooling the nation? You murder a person in broad daylight in a city center, wash your fingerprints, wipe them off, and say, "Well, I didn't murder the individual." What is this? I mean, what type of kind of a policy that we have? No terror, no talks, no water, no blood can flow together. No trade with Pakistan. Operation Sindur is on, and we are chashme-baduring them. Why?
Okay, but what would you say to the players? Look, if we have another fixture, they will have to go and play their match. What should they do in that case?
Why do we blame the players? The players are selected by the BCCI. The permission is given by the government of India. You talk about bilateral, you talk about multilateral, you talk about ICC tournaments. Is any individual, any game, any institution greater than the nation? No, it is not. So I fail to understand what is the policy of the government of India. It's as simple as that. I want that question. Why aren't we asking these questions rather than asking about Pakistan? Can you stop Pakistan from speaking anything? Can you stop Pakistan from taking a decision what they want to do? Who am I to comment on it? I mean, on one side, we are completely isolated. Had we not played this game which is a religion in our country, people across the world watch this match, they would all those expats, the NRIs, the OCIs, the PIOs would have spoken to their friends, word to mouth, because nobody is listening to us. Pakistan has become the vice president of the anti-terror group of the combined countries in the United Nations. I mean, come on, let's not fool ourselves.
No, but
we should smell the coffee.
No, but Mr. Kirti Azad, there's also, you said what's the policy of the government? The government does have a policy that we are not going to play any bilaterals with them. Why, but this was like a multilateral game and it was in a neutral venue. Why should we give them a walkover? Isn't it better that we actually beat them on the field and they get a taste of their own medicine?
What argument is it? What kind of an argument? I said no individual, no game, no institution is greater than the nation. And when 26 people who were martyred that day, उनकी चिताएं अभी तक ठंडी नहीं हुई और आप मैच खेल रहे हैं और हंस रहे हैं, and you have your member of parliament and son of the honorable home minister sitting with them and talking to Shahid Afridi, whom I already told you spits venom against India. I mean, what is this? Isn't it crazy? Isn't it stupid? What kind of a policy we have?
No, but then in that
Ghadi
case...
mein tola, ghadi mein masha. I fail to understand.
No, but in that case, sir, we will have to boycott everything, right? The policy, like I said earlier, is absolutely clear. This was in Dubai. We don't go to Pakistan. We don't invite them to our country. But if this is, we cut off all ties completely, then we'll have to pull out of all kind of sporting events. We won't have to play Commonwealth Games with them. We can't play the World Cup with them. How is that going to be practical?
Many countries have done that. The entire Western Bloc boycotted the Moscow Olympics in 1980. They didn't want to come to Moscow. They didn't want to play there. Here we are absolutely isolated with nobody. And if we stay away, it's not going to do any harm. I know a lot of our players who practice really hard. I feel sorry for them. They'll not be able to participate. But at least we'll put our word through that if you're not going to listen, we know how to make others listen. You know about the tariffs, what China did. And Trump sat with them to talk about the tariffs. Here, 50% tariff is on of us. And we are not saying a word. Come on, become a man. We should be acting like eunuchs. That is what I feel.
Okay, yes, the government could have, you're saying that the government, if it wanted, could have said that we are not going to share any space with Pakistan altogether, maybe here, maybe World Cup, anywhere else, if that's the kind of statement that needs to be made. But talking about the demands that were made, Deep Das Gupta, by Pakistan, asking for the match referee to be removed, was this more of a face saver for their domestic audience, saying that, look, India blindsided us, now we are also going to put our foot down?
I think so. I think so. And coming from the chairman of the PCB, even that I thought was, maybe if I had come from the team manager or someone, it was a different thing. But coming from the chief of Pakistan cricket, I was like, this wasn't matured enough. I mean, that's the reaction. That's my reaction to their reaction. Actually, it wasn't matured enough comments made by the chief. And things could have been could have been so different. The reaction could have been different. And listen, again, this shaking hands and all, it is courtesy. Teams generally try and do that, but it's not written in stone or etched in stone that you have to do it. It has happened in the past, not just in cricket, but in other sports as well, when individuals haven't shook hands before. So ideally, you would want to, courtesy-wise, but then, situations are very different. So, you got to respect the situation, whatever it is, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
But what do you make of this handshake controversy? You just heard Mr. Kirti Azad. He was incensed. He says, forget the handshake. Why did you even go and play the match? What do you make of this?
Listen, I think it's obviously. First of all, a lot of people say, "Oh, let's not mix politics and cricket." Listen, sports and cricket sports and politics have always been together. It's new. Look at Olympics. Olympics, the US Olympics. I mean, countries boycotted those. So, so sports and politics have always mixed across the board. It's not just about a sport. Across all sports. So, that is the bigger picture, and we should be cognizant of the fact where the countries, what the relationships are, and if the government of the country, government of India says yes, go ahead and play, then it's fine. If the government says no, because obviously, cricket is just a very small subset of the nation. And if the government of the country wants a certain way, so be it. So as of now, I'm sure the BCCI got the permission to go ahead from the government, and that's the only reason.
No, of course
the
they
government
did.
Had said no, then absolutely.
But
so.
Out of curiosity, then what are the players supposed to do the next time they are going to be facing Pakistan, and it's going to happen in just a few days from now? If Pakistan doesn't boycott, that is, what are the Indian players supposed to do in that case?
Cricket only, Padmaja. That is also unfair, na? We played hockey and all that we are playing. We're playing other sports. Then let's not do that. Then across the board, let's say we are not going to do that. And we're talking about multi-nation, right? We're not talking about bilateral. We haven't played bilateral in decades now. In multi-nation sport, because there are other teams involved, there are commercials, not just, and also India, the kind of position that India holds in world cricket, we have to be a lot more responsible as well. Because when we're talking about cricket, the commercial side of the sport and the future of the sport obviously depends a lot on the commercial aspect of it. And India being, the position that it is in world cricket, has its own responsibilities too. So we can't just kind of forget and not look at those responsibilities, looking at the bigger picture of the sport itself.
No, 100% you're right. But that is what Kirti Azad was saying, right? That boycott everything. Sometimes principles are bigger than everything. It is bigger than revenue. It is bigger than considerations of what all are you going to skip. It's just about a matter of principle. We will not play with Pakistan in anything, cricket, hockey, everything. We can do that, right, Deep? We can take that hit.
So that's what I meant when I say the bigger picture is, it is also about raising money for other countries. It's not just India, Pakistan playing this tournament, right? You've got Hong Kong, you've got Qatar, you've got Oman, all these other countries, Hong Kong, obviously even, countries like Afghanistan, Sri Lanka and all. So that the revenues are split, and obviously India playing and not playing makes a huge difference. So yes, obviously the national interest is right up there, and that is untouched. You can't even, it's not even a conversation there. But then, if it's possible, then I think also India's position in World Cricket, I think we need to take that very seriously and do what we need to do for the growth of the sport.
Okay, two different points of view on the issue of boycott. In conclusion, a word from you. Understandably, you are incensed with the government stand, with the match altogether, Kirti Azad. But I don't know if you've heard the kind of commentary we've seen coming out of Pakistan. Yusuf Yohanna today saying that Surya Kumar Yadav, he basically called the Indian captain a pig. Shahid Afridi saying that Indian cricketers are more embarrassments than ambassadors. Why do you think suddenly they are so rattled? Why? Did you expect this kind of language from cricketers, Kirti Azad?
Can you control these uncouth people? Can you control what they speak? Can you do anything? Will my saying anything, would have any effect on them? They don't care about them. When our own people are sitting with Shahid Afridi, as I said, he has been spitting venom against us. Our own Anurag Thakur, our own Jai Shah, son of Amit Shah, are sitting and chatting and having a laugh. Why? Who are they? Why should I care about them? Hathi chale bazar, kutte bhauke hazar. Why should I be bothered about them?
Okay, they have only revealed their true face, Deep Das Gupta, and it's a fact. You can't really control what Pakistan is saying. They're just showing their real face, aren't they?
Listen, first of all, I'll be honest, I am not a big fan of that praise spirit of the game, and it's used very conveniently whenever it fits whoever they use it. And as far as comments by Yusuf Yohanna or Mohammad Yusuf, whatever name he rocks his boat, well, I don't want to stoop down to that level. He was a very, very good batter, one of the top batters. I've got a lot of time for him as a batter, but off the field, well, I'm not going to stoop down to that level.
All right, Kirti Azad, Deep Das Gupta, thanks very much for sharing your varied but still very much for the love of cricket perspectives with us. Let's see what Pakistan is going to do. There is still a huge suspense. Are they going to pull out or not? But are they now backpedaling just a little bit, because we are getting to know that Pakistan might not be boycotting the Asia Cup. What's also interesting is that they have cancelled their press conference, which was to be held earlier. What does Pakistan have on its mind? Was this only a bluff about boycotting their next match with UAE? There's still a big question mark on that. Are they going to pull back from their withdrawal threat? All right, Vimal is joining us now on the phone line. More suspense. What is Pakistan thinking? Are they going to pull out? Why have they cancelled their press conference? Vimal.
No. I mean, we told it. I mean, on NDTV have been reporting about this, and our sources and Pakistan journals, all of them were saying that Pakistan will play, and they sent a letter to ICC regarding match referee boycott. But the ICC rejected their plea, and of course, I mean, they are going to play because tomorrow they have to play a match against UAE, which is the host team over there. And if they win against UAE, they will go to Super 4, where they are supposed to meet India again on 21st September. So, of course, they are going to play. And whatever they are saying, as you said, they are doing bluff things and all. And these things, these tactics, they have been applying throughout during scheduling or during every time they try these kind of tactics. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the ICC has taken again steps in the favor of that particular match referee, who is very, very experienced, Paikoff, and he did not do any kind of mistake. So Pakistan will play. They are practicing now. I've been told, and I'll get some visuals also. They have started doing practice for tomorrow match. Tomorrow they are going to play, and they will try to, if they beat UAE, of course India will meet Pakistan again on 21st September.
That's a good prediction. Thanks very much, Vimal, for that. So much for having conviction. You threatened, you could not even come good on your threat. You tried to bluff the ICC, and that bluff has truly been called. Let's see what happens tomorrow. The other big story that we are getting to you today: no unilateral grabbing of land, no more politics of appeasement, and definitely no politics of fear-mongering. The Supreme Court's order on the Waqf law has been interpreted as a win by all sides involved, but the facts say something else. And the facts are especially important in election season, given that this Waqf law was used to claim that the party in government is actively victimizing and othering Muslims, and the Waqf law was nothing more than an attempt to snatch their land. But if one actually reads the fine print of the Supreme Court order, the court refused to stay the law. It also has passed an interim stay on only 3 contentious clauses. What is the most important part of this order is what has been glossed over. The most important part is that the apex court upheld the deletion of Waqf by user, saying that if the legislature finds examples of the misuse of Waqf by user, then it is justified in deleting that provision. And it is this that goes at the very heart of the reasons why the law had been brought in the first place. Numerous cases that we had highlighted where land was deemed as Waqf purely by virtue of being under Waqf use, and hence Waqf by user. We told you stories of how farmers, temple land, all of it was deemed Waqf by user and taken away from its actual owners, of how people discovered in retrospect that land for which they had the papers was suddenly under Waqf control. Why? Waqf by user. The removal of that provision of Waqf by user has now been upheld by the apex court, and that is why now the government is claiming that those who were engaging in politics of land grab, of fear-mongering, now stand exposed.
The opposition was, all these days, they were saying that the Waqf amendment is unconstitutional. But the court has upheld that amendment, and they have said that there is nothing unconstitutional in that. Many of the provisions of the Waqf amendment has been upheld, and Supreme Court has accepted the necessity of reforms in Waqf Act. The acts, transparency, the development of the Waqf properties, digitization, all these are upheld by the Supreme Court. What the opposition is trying to tom-tom and saying that it is a setback for the government, the fact is those who went to the court didn't really get what they wanted.
इसमें जो कमेटी बनी थी इस बिल के ऊपर चर्चा करने के लिए, उसका मैं सदस्य भी था और तब भी हमने यही बात कही थी कि आप ऐसे संशोधन मत लाइए जो कि व्यवहारिक ना हो। और हमने कमेटी के अंदर भी सवाल उठाया था कि भाई आप जो है वो अपने दोस्तों को ये धार्मिक संपत्तियां देना चाहते हैं वक्फ की, इसके मकसद से ये बिल ला रहे हैं। बहरहाल तब हमारी बात नहीं सुनी गई, संसद का भी समय बर्बाद किया गया, वो कमेटी बना के भी समय बर्बाद किया गया और जबरन जो है एक गैर संवैधानिक बिल पास किया गया। हम लोग पहले दिन से कह रहे हैं कि भाई ये बिल पूरी तरीके से गैर संवैधानिक है। क्यों है? क्योंकि आपने वक्फ बाय यूजर रद्द करने का जो फैसला है वो कलेक्टर के हाथ में दे दिया। आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उस पर रोक लगा दी। कलेक्टर किसका होता है? सरकार का होता है।
ये जो इंटरिम ऑर्डर आया है, इससे जो कानून मोदी सरकार ने बनाया है, मोदी गवर्नमेंट ने बनाया है, एनडीए ने बनाया है, इससे वक्फ प्रॉपर्टीज का तहफ्फुज नहीं होगा, प्रोटेक्शन नहीं होगा और एंक्रोचर्स को रिवॉर्ड किया जाएगा। वक्फ प्रॉपर्टीज में कोई डेवलपमेंट नहीं आएगा। तो इसीलिए हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट जल्द से जल्द एक फाइनल डिसीजन लेने के लिए जो भी जरूरी इक़दाम करना है वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट करे।
The opposition parties are the people who are feeling it as a slap. Should understand it is only an interim order and that too a partial interim order. The act has not been stayed. Only some provisions in the act were stayed. Overall, the intention of the government in bringing the act is not been stayed. It is not a final judgment, it is only a partial judgment. So therefore, there is nothing for any party to celebrate or be jubilant and should not feel that it is a slap on the government.
All right, and that brings us to the big questions today on which the buck stops here with the scrapping of Waqf by user upheld. Will this spell an end to the politics of land grab? Joining us now on the debate, we have Nalin Kohli, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Syed Nasir Hussain, Rajya Sabha MP of the Congress, Shadab Chauhan, leader of the AIMI. But my first question is to you, Tushar Gupta, political analyst, because a lot of people are focusing on Waqf by user and the fact that registration of property has been upheld by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has said you must have registered land. Why is that so important? There are other 3 clauses which were problematic, which have got an interim stay. Why not focus on that instead?
Let's go point by point, Padmaja. In 2013, when the amendments were brought in by the outgoing Congress government, there were 2 provisions, Section 40 and Waqf by user. The Waqf by user was introduced by the Nehru government around 1950s. But Waqf by user said that if the Waqf deems that this property or this land parcel was once used for pious purpose, they can claim it as their own. What allowed them to make that claim? Section 40. But the definition of who could make a waqf was altered to also include non-Muslims. Now, this was the important point. Section 40 and waqf by user got their entire, usage, their utility from the definition of who could make a waqf. Section 40 is gone, waqf by user is gone. For those people who still have a confusion, the judgment of the Supreme Court, page 85, point number 147 to 150, the Supreme Court clearly says that even before the 2025 amendments were brought in by the Modi government, the Waqf board had an opportunity for almost 100 years to register the property. And if they could not submit the deed under the previous acts, there was an option for an application to be made. So if these people have not made an application or registered through the process prior defined for almost a century, they're not going to claim any unregistered property as their own. Point number 2, and very important. Okay. In the 2025 amendments, the Modi government had installed an important point. It said all those Waqf by user properties which are registered before the commencement of the act will continue to be registered Waqf properties. Now, the problem is most of these properties are not registered. They are verbal declarations, which is where Section 40 and Waqf by user became important. Now, both are gone. The registered properties are only going to be valid. But the problem is most of them are not registered. And that is what Amit Shah said. That is what Amit Shah said in the parliament. Yeah. That you until 1913 to 2013, you had 18 lakh properties. But between 2013 and 2025, an increase of 21 lakh. Waqf by user and Section 40.
Okay, Dr. Syed Nasir Hussain, and this really sums up the main problem that people were facing. That their lands, in many cases, farmers' lands, in Karnataka, in Tamil Nadu, in Uttar Pradesh, was deemed Waqf property. How? Waqf by user. Even if it hadn't been registered. Now that arbitrariness has been done away with and the court has upheld it, don't you think that really goes to the very heart of what the problem of the Waqf issue was?
Padmaja, two things. One, let me first correct what Mr. Tushar Gupta has said. That Mr. Nehru's government used the term Waqf by user. He should understand it was not Nehru's government or somebody else's government who used this word. It was a judicially developed phrase that was used by courts in different categories. Waqf board never used or coined this word Waqf by user. This was used by courts. Let him understand that first. Number two, you are saying that all these properties which were Waqf by users will go away. The court has clearly mentioned that Waqf by user will be implemented prospectively. That means till now, whatever Waqf by user properties are registered or existing, they will be there. Hereafter, there will be no Waqf by user property. Point number one. If you remember my parliament speech, I had made it very clear. Hundreds, 200, 300, 500, 1,000 years back, there were many religious institutions of Muslim communities which were given dan by various Rajas, Maharajas and also by kings. That property is Waqf by user, and that too because a masjid is available there, or a dargah is available there, or a kabristan exists there, or a Eidgah exists there. That is the reason why I say we don't have records, but the property exists there, and there is religious activity happening there. So that is Waqf by user. That was given by someone, but no documents were there. So now the court says prospectively this will be there. Point number one. Only thing there is no clarity in this. What will happen to all those cases that are already there in the cases? Large number of Waqf by user cases already there. There is no clarity on that. I wish there will be more clarity on that when there is a final order.
No, but Dr.
Point number three.
Dr. Hussain, if I may.
The most important thing to me. No, Padmaja,
okay,
let me finish. Padmaja,
yes.
let me finish. See, the most important stay in yesterday's interim order is that disallowing the collector to have his say. That was the crux of the problem, because that would have created hundreds of Ayodhya-like problems, thousands of Ayodhya-like problems in the country. That is where the stay is. I think that is where exactly they have stopped the ill intent of this government.
Okay, fair. The powers of the collector has been curbed, but I again bring you back to Waqf by user. The question wasn't about, and Nalin Kohli can come in on this, the question wasn't, Dr. Hussain, about where somebody has willingly donated land. It is where land which does not belong to you has been deemed as Waqf because it is being used as a Waqf property. Now, what did the Supreme Court say about it? The Supreme Court said, if I can just read out what the Supreme Court has said, sir, on this specific issue, the Supreme Court observed.
Give me 10 seconds on this.
So just a second, I just want to read out what the Supreme Court has written.
10 seconds on this.
I will give you 10 seconds. In any case, to do charity, a person will have to do charity of his own property. So yes, a Raja owns the property, he can donate it. But nobody can come and say this agricultural land, because it is being used as Waqf property, turns into Waqf property. It can't be Waqf by user. Will have to do charity of his own property, or the money owned by him. A charity cannot be done by a person of a property or money owned by a third person or a property owned by the government. In that view of the matter, we are of the prima facie view that such a requirement cannot be held to be arbitrary. That is, scrapping of Waqf by user cannot be held to be arbitrary. You cannot take over government land, agricultural land, temple land and say it's being used as Waqf, so it is Waqf by user. Dr. Nasir Hussain.
Then, Padmaja, point number one, you give me one case in the entire country which the Waqf board has claimed that it is Waqf board's land. I'll tell you where the problem lies. I said this in my parliament speech, I said this in JPC, I said this in n number of TV debates. See, this land was not, this land was given by someone or the other at some point of the time. There are partial documents for that. But when there were land reforms in Karnataka, when there were various land ceiling act was there, land redistribution policies came in various states, then these lands were given to
No, Dr. Hussain, with the greatest of respect, I can quote to you multiple examples, but I will leave it to Nalin Kohli. In Tamil Nadu, an entire village which was taken over as Waqf land. In Uttar Pradesh, in Bihar, where land which belonged to villagers has been deemed as Waqf land.
No, what is this? You're not allowing me to speak.
So, Padmaja, if I can now...
Sir, you have spoken. You have asked for examples. Okay, let Nalin Kohli come in and give examples.
Let me finish, Padmaja.
Okay, sir, only 10 more seconds because Nalin Kohli and Shadab Chauhan are waiting.
I'm waiting for 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 more seconds. See,
only 10 more seconds.
I don't agree with that.
Only 10 more seconds.
I have a counter view.
See, the point is, when these lands were taken away by various state governments through various acts. After that, there was a Supreme Court judgment which said once a Waqf is always a Waqf. Basing on the judgment, some of them went to the court.
Okay, Nalin Kohli countering now. Nalin Kohli countering now.
The Waqf board which was given to farmer by various acts.
Okay, Nalin Kohli, is it as simple as that?
Pause for a minute, no?
Nalin Kohli.
No, it's not. It's not as simple as that. And I don't agree with the points being made here. I have a counterpoint. And I will have to respectfully point out that I'm a practicing senior advocate at courts and we must look at this with a little bit falling backwards. What was the first charge against the Modi government when this act came, or these amendments came? That essentially the whole, I think, is to undo the Waqf. It is not to undo the Waqf. Please, let's start from the top. India is not a religious country. It's a secular country. It runs by the constitution. Now, under the constitution, you will have rights. Nobody can have rights over one or the other. Article 14 will step in. Now, if Nasir Saab says that these lands were donated to the Waqf, prior to the advent of Islam in the 17th century, all the land belonged to the temples. So, I mean, where are you going to draw the line? Can we go 5,000 years, 4,000 years, 3,000 years? We can't. So, therefore, when you run on the constitution, you run on rule of law. Now, what is the situation past? Since the 1923 Act of the Waqf, subsequently even the 65 or the later amendments, somewhere somebody in the Waqf management should have gone and registered the land or pointed out that this is our land. Nobody does that. What you have a situation, one person wakes up, says that this land belongs to the Waqf. Now that land could belong to a farmer in today's rights, in the revenue records, may belong to a temple, may belong to a village, may belong to XYZ. You can't say I am a user on it and hence I am owning this rights and undo the rights of land of some other person which is constitutionally protected. That is why the Waqf by user was the most important factor.
Okay.
The DM's power in terms of saying it should not be arbitrarily loose is the Supreme Court's coming in and saying no, you must do everything in a reasonable way. So the first question to come is, are the Waqfs functioning perfectly? No. If they were functioning perfectly, all the records would have been up to date.
No, so let's settle this Waqf by user. Dr. Nasir Hussain is disagreeing with your interpretation of the court order. Nalin Kohli, quick rebuttal, then I must bring in Shadab Chauhan.
There are three people on this channel. No, I must finish my point.
Okay, finish your point. 20 seconds, but Waqf by user, we want to settle that issue first.
No, I must. It can't be 20 seconds because I have heard that 10 seconds, which was 2 minutes. I'm sure Nasir Saab would have more to add. I want to finish my point, that's all. My point is as simple as this, that if something is precious to you, whether it has come in a religious endowment or whether it has come in a purchase, you will make sure that your records on it are right. If you have not made your records, you had ample opportunity between 1923 when the act came in and subsequent decades for you to make sure. You don't do that and you suddenly turn up and say, I am a user and say that. This was the most contentious issue and the Supreme Court has completely rejected that argument. So to say that the government has faced the flag is incorrect. The Supreme Court has held, the Honorable Chief Justice of India, Justice Gawai's court has held that the act is constitutionally valid.
Okay.
It has only gone ahead. It has first rejected the argument that the Waqf by user which was removed or amended was incorrect. It is constitutionally correct. Second, they will need to register their lands. They will need to give full details so that in the future there is no such problem.
Dr. Nasir
What
Hussain.
it has simply done is curtailed the power subject to some further.
And since you asked about examples where the Waqf has unilaterally taken it over, let me quote to you two of the most popular examples that have been brought up even in parliamentary debates where you were present. One is the village Tiruchenturai in Tamil Nadu, where you had an entire village that was declared Waqf, and it was brought to light when a man chose to sell his or tried to sell his agricultural land. Then you got the example of an entire village in Govindpur. You're saying that's not the case. That village which has a temple also, including the land on which the temple stood, was declared Waqf land.
Padmaja, I'll challenge you on this television channel today. If you can prove somewhere if the Waqf Board of Tamil Nadu has claimed that village as its own village. It was wrongly entered by a Sheristidar, which was corrected by the Principal Secretary. The Principal Secretary accepted this in JPC. Principal Secretary, Revenue Secretary, DC came to JPC and said, Waqf Board never claimed that village as its own. It was wrongly entered by the Sheristidar. Please check up the
Govindpur village? Govindpur village in Bihar?
Don't spread these
Okay,
kind of lies
it is
on
wrong
television
interpretation,
channel.
Tushar
I challenge
Gupta.
you.
Wrong
I
interpretation.
challenge you to
Okay,
prove
you are
it.
saying that this has been completely misrepresented because it was quoted inside Parliament, sir. This particular example.
Don't spread lies on your channel.
No, I am not spreading lies, sir. This was given as a factual example on the floor of the Parliament.
My simple fact is, Padmaja, if the Waqf has not claimed any property unilaterally, how has the area under the Waqf gone up by 21 lakh acres in the last 11 years? Point number two, to the Congress MP, May 24th, 1954, Gazetted Authority has published the Act, Section 3L2. It says Waqf by user properties will be included. Point number three, again, your the past introduced the Section 40. It sustained Section 40. It changed the definition of who could make a Waqf. It allowed Section 40 to exist, and that is how properties were being claimed unilaterally. It's fine to say, oh, it was a mistake, it was not meant to be, but the truth is, properties went up by 21 lakh acres in just 10 years.
Okay, Dr. Hussain. Dr. Hussain.
Padmaja, I want to answer this.
Answer.
Yeah. See, I want to answer this political analyst who is pro-BJP and pro-government to correct his facts. For the first time, entries and digitalization and registration came in 2013 amendment. And 2014 BJP government came in. And Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi somewhere in 23 said that 100% registration has been done. So this rise in registration was during BJP's period. If this was fake entries, if this was occupation of lands, what was the BJP doing? There were no entries before 2013 because there was no registration process, there was no digitization, there was no portal. Portal came only after 2013 amendment. So if this person doesn't have the right, right data with him, let him not spread false things on the television channel.
No. Okay.
Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi on the floor of the House, the Union Minister for Minorities had claimed that 100% registration was done during BJP's period.
Okay, and since you have said that factually the example of Tiruchenturai is inaccurate, even though I repeat, this was quoted in Parliament as an example of when land has been unilaterally taken over. Let me quote to you 4 more examples, sir. Example number 2,
Again
Govindpur
you are
in
wrong.
Bihar.
Again you are wrong.
Again
you are wrong.
Sir, let me at least quote the example.
We have corrected this in Parliament. Again you are wrong.
Okay, let
Again
me
you
at
are
least
wrong.
quote the example, sir, before you declare them
We
wrong.
have corrected this. We have pledged it in the Parliament that this was a wrong narrative.
It is not a narrative.
This is a wrong narrative.
Sir, these are
Nobody
people
in
who
this
are on
Tamil Nadu
record,
was
Dr.
claimed
Nasir
that
Hussain.
village as its own.
These are people who are on
nobody
record
said.
saying
You
that
give me
our
the
land has
papers.
been taken. Can I
You
please
give
at
me
least
the-
name them?
You give me the papers if Tamil Nadu Waqf Board has claimed that village.
Sir,
Give me
can
the
I
papers.
name the examples?
I will give you the report of
Govindpur.
JPC.
Sir,
You
can I
please
name
get
the
report of
examples?
JPC, what is it?
Govindpur in Bihar.
please-
In August
please check the
2024,
report of JPC,
the
what
Sunni
the
Waqf Board said
Secretary has said,
that the
what the
entire
Secretary
village
has said.
belongs to us.
No, no,
7
no,
families
can I
were
make-
told to leave
You are
that
neither
village.
part of Waqf Board.
Sir, I am reading
can I-
newspaper
administration.
reports.
Please don't.
I am
spread
reading
lies
news-
here on your
Wrong,
channel.
wrong. Fact check.
Don't
Fact
peddle
check.
fake narrative here.
This is
Don't
not a
peddle fake narrative.
Okay, at least let me read out the newspaper reports
fake narrative
and then you
by
can
you,
put your
Padmaja.
point. In
It is a
Kerala,
fake narrative
are you
by
saying
you on
even
a
the
television
Kerala
channel.
example is wrong? In Kerala, 600 Christian families in Ernakulam are contesting the Waqf Board's claim over their ancestral land. They appeared before you in the
Do
JPC.
you know what happened? Nani, do you know what happened in Kerala? Do you know what? I'll explain what happened in Kerala. There also, it was the Kerala High Court which passed strictures saying that it's a Waqf property and moved a contempt case against the Waqf Board to register it as a Waqf property. Do you know that? When you don't know the facts, why are you speaking?
Okay,
And
so
spreading comments here?
examples that are
You
given
don't know
are
the
part
facts.
of a false narrative.
In Kerala, it was the High Court which said it's a Waqf property.
Okay,
And the
quickly
petitioner
respond to
was
this, Tushar
not the
Gupta, then I want to
Kerala
go across to
Waqf
Shadab
Board.
Chauhan.
The petitioner was
The Congress
30
MP, the
seconds.
Honorable Congress MP just said that all the properties have attained 100% registration as has been claimed by one of the BJP ministers. My simple question then is, why did one of the lawyers representing the petitioners said to the Supreme Court that there would be no deeds available, the paperwork will not be available for some of the Waqf properties? Can the Congress MP today certify on national television on your show that of the 39 lakh acre property under the Waqf, all of them are registered? And if they were registered, what was the problem with the amendments in the first place? And number 2, Padmaja, for the sake of clarity, I must read out the specific point from the Supreme Court judgment, which says point 147, we are therefore of the view that if the Mutwalis for a period of 102 years could not get the Waqf registered as required under the earlier provisions, they cannot claim that they be allowed to continue with the Waqf even if they are not registered. This is directly from the Supreme Court. This is quoting directly from the Supreme Court judgment. I don't know where the confusion is.
Okay, before you respond, Dr. Hussain, I want to bring in Shadab Chauhan. Shadab Chauhan, I think the only outlier in this entire debate is the AIMIM. Every side is saying they are vindicated. AIMIM, the only one which is saying that this actually is a setback. Why?
The reason behind is that from the day one we are opposing this draconian law. The main agenda of the government is to snatch our properties and give them to their friends like Adani, Ambani and such like that. The setback, we are saying that it's just an interim order. We are looking for a final order. How we can say that ASI will be the owner of the property of my masjid, especially if any masjid is a protected monument which is under ASI, how we lost our ownership?
No, you will not lose your ownership, sir. Shadab साहब, यहाँ पे सिर्फ इतना कहा गया, आपके पास रजिस्टर्ड जो है वो आप ही के पास रहेगा. जो रजिस्ट्री नहीं है, वो आप क्लेम नहीं कर सकते ना.
Padamja, we just want to ask that Section 3D was put at the last. Section 3D were not discussed in the JPC. They put at the last moment. How we can say that if the ASI, the protectee of any particular movement, and there is a masjid, there is a mosque, and till right now, the Waqf Board is not the owner of the property.
Okay, you know, Mr. Chauhan, with the greatest of respect, now again, if we are going to have a clause-by-clause discussion, that has happened in the JPC 1 and the law hasn't been stayed. So if you have a problem with every clause, that is sort of a ship that has sailed because the Supreme Court right now has refused to stay the law. And you have problem with all the clauses of the law, nothing can be done about that now. Dr. Hussain, do you want to respond? Just a second. Dr. Hussain, then I want to go to Nalin Kohli.
Supreme Court interim order.
Let me answer Tushar. He says that these properties were not registered. I am again and again telling there are two angles to it. One, the BJP former minister claimed that all properties have been registered. That means they have been registered somewhere, registered with document, somewhere registered without document because they were walk by user. Now the court has said, you should understand this, Mr. Tushar Gupta, the court has said that this is walk by user prospectively. In the sense, till now, whatever walk by users have been included in the portal of union government, they will be there as walk by user even if they don't have documents. But just hold on. Hereafter, there will be no fresh by user. There will be no fresh walk by user. That is what they have mentioned. It was mentioned in JPC also. It is mentioned here also. Be very clear about it.
Dr. Hussain, we are not talking about the registered properties. We are talking about the unregistered properties. If the properties, all of them were registered, why go to the court in the first place?
You asked about the registered property. I am saying whatever registered have been, they will be there.
But what about the ones that are not registered? That is what the amendments changed, that all the properties that are registered before the commencement of the act continue to be the properties. That is what the government is also saying. The question here is of unregistered properties.
Mr. Tushar,
please do not twist the question.
Mr. Tushar, the grey area here is what will happen to all those work by user properties that are there under dispute in various courts. That is the grey.
Registered or not?
Anyway, this
Sir,
is
if they are unregistered,
order.
the Supreme Court is
final order
very
has
clear.
to come.
That
Final
is what
order
I
has
just
to
read out
come.
for you.
When the court
The
has
Supreme Court
accepted
is very
this
clear on
till here,
unregistered
they'll
properties.
accept
They cannot be
also.
further
Don't
claimed
worry
as
about
properties. The Supreme Court is very clear on unregistered properties. They cannot be claimed further as work properties. This is from the Supreme Court. This is not an opinion. It's in the judgment.
Okay, Nalin Kohli, Nasir Hussain is saying that this is a narrative that you're trying to build about arbitrariness and takeover of land. That has never happened, and all those individual cases have been addressed in courts of law.
It's a very easy argument. If it's never happened, then why are they so worried about this law? And then it was something to celebrate and thank the government for bringing the law. हमने तो कुछ गलत किया नहीं, कोई किसी के पास गलत नोटिस नहीं किया, किसी की जमीन हमने क्लेम नहीं किया एज अंडर वक्फ बाय यूजर, तो हमें क्या टेंशन है? We have always done everything right, all the papers are right, all the waqfs are managed well, there is no problem. Simple. Then why this contentious fight? Obviously it was not the case. Because it was not the case and these kind of cases were coming up where some person got up and tried to take over the waqf take over others' lands in the name of the waqf, it led to a hue and cry, and quite correctly. The constitution provides protection to every citizen of India. No one can claim and say that my right under whatever religious denomination is going to be greater than the right of another person who owns land. Quite logically, the biggest problem was the encroachment of government land. And encroachment of a government land is a reality of India. Take the case of Assam. Illegal immigrants from Bangladesh have taken over thousands of hectares. Now the chief minister there, under an exercise, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, is clearing out those lands. They include the temple lands, the Shatro lands, all of those jungle lands. It is illegal takeover. In the same way, government lands or forest lands or other lands or community lands are targeted because lands have become very priceless today. In terms of economic value, population has grown. There is a demand and pressure on land.
Okay.
It is to protect lands. Nobody wants to take the lands are legitimate lands of the Waqf. They are entitled to their lands. They are entitled to those protection. But certainly, somebody can't stand up and take or claim a right on somebody else's land invoking the Waqf.
And
by
on
user
that,
clause.
I think the Supreme
So
Court is also
very
absolutely
good
clear. If you actually read the entire judgment on the issue of arbitrary takeover, of registration, of people having the right to give their land to Waqf or otherwise, provided they own the land, the order is crystal clear. More often than not, perhaps, it's the interpretation that is political. I'm afraid, sirs, I'm completely out of time. Remember, this is an interim stay. We'll wait for greater clarity. For the time being, on the issue of whether Waqf by user is accepted, the buck stops here. Thanks for watching.
Hello, Moto. Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Rajasthan is history, culture, and much more. And I have been reporting on all things royal for more than 25 years.
The colors, the culture, and the complexities of the Northeast is different from the rest of the country. I have been bringing the Northeast closer to the capital for over 15 years.
Madhya Pradesh is the heart of India, and I have been capturing its every beat for over 10 years, covering the corridors of power, what is said, what is left unsaid, and what it actually means for you and me. I have it all covered.
Kashmir is often called paradise on earth, a region that has been in a state of flux from conflict to India's crowning glory. I have been reporting and decoding Jammu and Kashmir for last 3 decades.
Fenesta windows, beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Find Finer Fenesta.
Months after India destroyed several terror established in Pakistan and POK during Operation Sindur, a Jaish-e-Munir commander has now himself admitted that the family of Masood Azhar, the group's top commander, was torn into pieces in the strikes on Bahawalpur. Talks between US and India on bilateral trade agreement, the first since 50% tariffs were imposed by Donald Trump, have been described by both sides as positive.
My birthday gift to पापा, ये उनके पापा की पहली गाड़ी एक गराज में पड़ी थी दार्जिलिंग में। फिर 3 मैकेनिक, पेंटिंग, पॉलिशिंग। जब इसे फाइनली घर लाया ना, तब लगा लाइफ में ग्रो किया है। बुलाओ।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
Fenesta windows, beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Find Finer Fenesta.
ब्रेकिंग न्यूज का जमाना है। सबको तिल का ताड़ और राई का पहाड़ बनाना है। ऐसे में जनता के जूते के अंदर फंसा कंकड़ कौन देखे? बड़े बड़े मुद्दों के शोर में जमीन से जुड़े मुद्दे अक्सर खो जाते हैं। लेकिन देश तरक्की तब करता है जब जनता के माथे की शिकन हमारी हेडलाइंस बनती है। मैं सैयद सुहेल भारत को जीता हूं, भारत की बात बताता हूं। NDTV इंडिया पर।
We see the problems, but you as a social entrepreneur see the solutions. You are not just creating solution, you are creating a future where everyone has a chance to thrive. For the change makers,
Shahid Afridi has once again managed to insert himself into India's political discourse, this time by praising Rahul Gandhi as someone with a positive mindset. Let's remember who we're talking about. Afridi, who reserves his special venom for India, who misled millions in Pakistan by taking out a so-called Vijay Yatra the day after Operation Sindur to convince his audience, vast audience, that Pakistan had somehow prevailed even as 31 of its military and urban targets were still smoldered from Indian missile strikes. That man, Shahid Afridi, now holds forth on our leader of the opposition, Rahul Gandhi. But why does Afridi praise Rahul Gandhi? Is it admiration or is it a trap? When Afridi demonizes India and Modi's government with one breath and praises Rahul Gandhi in the next, what is the game here? Is this just social media fodder for the BJP, or is there something deeper that we should be concerned about? The Congress has countered by putting up pictures of BJP leaders with Afridi. But let's be clear, there is a distinction here. That's cricket administrating compulsion, even though I have to say there is hypocrisy there as well. And you know my views about India-Pakistan cricket, or even sharing space with these terrorists. Afridi's harshest words are always for the BJP, including the people he sits with. And yet he finds Rahul Gandhi appealing. So the question is simple. Is this Afridi's attempt to divide India's politics, or does he see Rahul Gandhi's politics as genuinely aligned with his terrorist country's own? Pakistani governments have previously praised the Congress too, as well as the Gandhis. And why? Because maybe pliability, appeasement, pseudo-secular posturing are easier to digest than a government that responds with surgical strikes and missiles. I'm only guessing. But is that possibly the reality? Because the BJP has weaponized it now to hit the Congress party amongst so much else. Now, Shahid Afridi's dream of a Rahul Gandhi tells you less about Rahul himself and more about the wish list of a Pakistan that has always thrived on India's fractures.
ये बहुत ही गंदा किस्म का माइंडसेट है, गंदा किस्म का। ये उस वक्त तक रहेगा जब तक इनके बड़े यही हैं, ठीक है ना। इनके अच्छे हैं, जैसे राहुल गांधी की अगर मैं बात करूं, राहुल गांधी बहुत पॉजिटिव माइंडसेट वाला आदमी है। वो डायलॉग्स के जरिए वो हर एक के साथ चलना चाहता है दुनिया के साथ, लेकिन ये टोटली पाकिस्तान, आई मीन के कम ऑन यार, एक इजराइल काफी नहीं है कि तुम यहां पे इजराइल बनने की कोशिश करो।
So Shahid Afridi saying that Rahul Gandhi has a positive mindset. Not the first time that this kind of praise has come. Embarrassing for the Congress party, but it is Shahid Afridi after all, so should we give it any attention at all? Anand Ranganathan, best-selling author, commentator, scientist, is live with me. Sanjay Jha, formerly of the Congress party, political analyst, commentator, also with me tonight. You know, I have to be very honest with the both of you tonight. It kind of embarrasses me that Shahid Afridi is my lead story at 10 p.m. because honestly, I don't think he deserves a lot of attention. But given the current political discourse where even a washed-up Pakistani cricketer who was great in his time perhaps, but is a cheater and a fraud and very much embraces the jihadi mindset, openly praises and endorses Rahul Gandhi while in the same breath demonizes the BJP and the Modi government, you know, one has no choice but to give it a little bit of attention. Anand, I don't know what you think.
Well, personally, good evening, Shiv, and good evening to my good friend Sanjay. Look, personally, I find nothing wrong in Shahid Afridi praising Rahul Gandhi. One youth icon aged 55 is praising another youth icon aged 55. What's wrong in it? Don't be jealous, Shiv. And you're also jealous because Hafiz Saeed loves another Indian journalist, not you. Look, Pakistan loves Rahul Gandhi and hates Narendra Modi. I think that observation is self-explanatory. Now, I may be prone to bombast, but what the heck? A man is worthy of respect when his people love him and his enemies fear him, and not the other way around. That, in short, is the difference between Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi. Shiv, perhaps the only time I am prepared to believe in bad karma is when I see the kind of neighbor we have in Pakistan. The entire edifice of this nation is founded upon hatred for Hinduism and Hindustan, principally because it has always been run by scheming charlatans filled with supremacist notions of religious brotherhood. Leave aside 4 wars or Mumbai blast or 26/11 or Pulwama or Pahalgam. Remember their death by 1,000 cuts preamble? They are not going to change, but we must. We cannot have anything bilateral to do with this terror state unless it changes its spot, and unfortunately it never did. And you know why they love Rahul Gandhi and Congress? Because under Congress, we were giving concessions to Pakistan. The infamous Sharm el-Sheikh agreement, even on Balochistan. We continue to have Pakistan as the most favored nation, despite the most terrible terror attacks, 26/11. We were playing Pakistan in World Cups after 26/11. And we refused to bomb the terror hideouts of Pakistan because we were worried about their nuclear arsenal. So, there is no surprise that Pakistan loves Rahul Gandhi and Congress.
Sanjay, you know, on the one hand, I firmly believe that giving traction and attention to Pakistanis in this manner, especially when it comes to our politics, is a different game altogether. But I also agree somewhat with Anand when he says that, this is clearly a Shahid Afridi who represents the very worst of the Pakistani establishment, basically signaling, we prefer life when the Congress ruled India, when things were easy on us, when there were concessions to us, and life was a little more of a breather than now when, the smallest move attracts harsh action possibly. This is not a good look for the Congress with Shahid Afridi praising Rahul Gandhi. Sanjay, what do you think?
Shiv, I don't think this has got anything to do with the Rahul Gandhi or the Congress. I mean, anybody can have an opinion. I mean, it is not for the Congress or Rahul Gandhi to explain that.
Sanjay. So it does have to do with him.
No, let me answer you. You are now having somebody else join the program, which is fine. It's a 2 against 1. It doesn't matter. But
no. I will give you more time. I promise you. You know me. I'm not like other anchors. I give you more time.
Yeah. Let's have a fair debate. My bigger point is how spineless, how immoral, and how absolutely hypocritical is Mr. Modi's government. This is the same Mr. Modi, you remember? Terror and talks don't happen together, but terror and cricket can coexist. I mean, this is the playbook of the BJP. I honestly feel the entire country is appalled and aghast at the crudity and the vulgarity on display from this government. I mean, Mr. Modi talks about mere khoon mein Sindur daur raha hai. He talks about how blood and water cannot intermingle. Cricket is okay. You're playing cricket. And look at the defense, Shiv, that has come from the BJP. We would have lost 2 points, apparently. 2 points in a very, in my opinion, it's not even a multilateral world level tournament. It's an Asian Cup. And Mr. Thakur was very worried about losing 2 points. We lost 27 lives in Pahalgam. That is okay. But 2 points in the Asia Cup mattered. Shiv, I thought about this. We're discussing Shahid Afridi. I mean, the man doesn't deserve any of the attention he's getting. But this comment would not have been even discussed had India decided not to play Pakistan. And if you look at the format, since I follow cricket very closely, India actually could have boycotted the match against Pakistan and still qualified. And if both the teams met in the final, give the trophy over to Pakistan and abandon it. That's what India expected from our country. I mean, this is the elementary respect for the victims and the families who are surviving today with those horrific memories of what happened in Pahalgam.
No, I take your point. Anand, I want to bring you in before I bring Tuhin into it. Tuhin from the BJP is also joining us. Welcome, Tuhin. Anand, that, if we go beyond what Shahid Afridi has said, Sanjay says, at its core, who is the BJP to taunt the Congress over Shahid Afridi's comment on Rahul Gandhi when you had the power not to play cricket with Pakistan and you've done so, which in many ways is even more of a kind of linkage or facilitation of Pakistan than a stray comment from a Shahid Afridi?
So let me answer this in 2 ways. Number one, yes, Sanjay is right that the BJP is being hypocritical, but not in the way Sanjay sees it. Sanjay and everyone else who were demanding a boycott are being hypocritical because you have to go by first principles. In an international tournament, let me give you a scenario. You have the World Cup semi-final, India versus Pakistan of cricket. Do you think we should not play Pakistan and forego winning the trophy? What about Olympics? Why did we take part knowing that Pakistan would also take part? And let's say it was a final of hockey between India and Pakistan. We would say, okay, we are not going to play. We would forego gold medal. Things don't happen like that. And also, Congress has to answer. After the worst terror attack on our soil, 26/11, why did it play Pakistan in the Cricket World Cup? If it was so anxious not to engage with Pakistan. And as far as hypocrisy of BJP is concerned, Sanjay is right, but the means are wrong. Because the BJP, when Mr. Modi said trade and terror does not go together, Tuheen, my good friend, has to explain why are we still trading with Pakistan even now? Forget about Pulwama in the last 5 years when we were trading massively. Even as of today, after Pahalgam, we are exporting goods worth $1 billion to Pakistan directly and indirectly worth $10 billion. We are still importing goods from Pakistan. So terror and talks are going to, or trade are going together. That is the hypocrisy.
I think that is a substantive point. Tuheen, bringing you in, you can answer that point and also what Sanjay Jha raised.
Good evening, Shiv. There are too many things to answer. So first, let me begin with Shahid Afridi's comments. Today, unfortunately, the Congress party and Pakistan seem to have formed a weird mutual, admiration society. One is an embarrassment for India. The other is a global embarrassment for the entire world. But point is, 15 years ago, we would witness matches of a different kind where 6 months after 26/11, Dr. Manmohan Singh traveled to a neutral venue, Sharm el-Sheikh, and embarrassed the country, when he allowed Yusuf Raza Gilani the right to investigate Balochistan. As far as we are concerned, we are very straightforward people. Our stand is very clear. There will be absolutely no bilateral contest between India and Pakistan, but not playing Pakistan in international tournaments cannot be a conclusive solution in the long run. Even after winning, you have seen how we behaved, how, the captain of the Indian team showed Pakistan its place. Things will never be normal, but life has to go on. But I think, the Congress party today...
The trade question also, Tuheen.
No, to my knowledge, it's at the minimal level. If Mr. Ranganathan has sourced certain figures, I will check them again. But, it is at the bare minimum level. And I don't know whether, it has been revived recently. But it's at the bare minimum level.
Anand wants to just quickly come in. Yeah, Anand, go ahead.
Now, very briefly, to which I asked my dear friend Tuheen, can one be a little bit pregnant?
Well,
that answers that.
Anand keeps digging out information, both ways, against the BJP and against the Congress party. But I will have to study.
The larger point and the larger sense is at this time, I'm talking about this evening, when a stray soundbite by Shahid Afridi has become a talking point. It's become a lead story.
No, it's not a.
Has been weaponized. Has been weaponized by the BJP to hit the Congress.
Sanjay Jha, just 1 second. If you just allow me 20 more seconds, I will tell you why what Shahid Afridi has said cannot be dismissed lightly. If you look at his interview, what does he say? He equates India with Israel. He equates Pakistan with Palestine. Does the Congress, it's not an issue about Congress and BJP. Will the Congress silently accept India being equated to Israel? Because we all know how Priyanka Gandhi has gone out of a way to demonize Israel. So today, I think the Congress should officially condemn such statements because it shows India in poor light.
Sanjay doesn't represent the Congress party. The Congress refuses to come on my shows, as all of you know. Sometimes they forget that they've blacklisted me and they come on my show mistakenly and then action is taken. But Sanjay, you can answer that on a serious note.
Well, I think Tuheen himself recognizes that what he's saying is bizarre, outrageous, which is why under the BJP and Mr. Modi's government, India has become the misinformation and disinformation capital of the world. I don't want to even respond to the stupidity that he has uttered, but he needs to issue an apology. Since he's got a platform, he needs to issue an apology to the people of India who are watching NDTV today, because Tuheen, according to Mr. Modi, Operation Sindur is still on. And if Operation Sindur is still on, you are basically saying that India and Pakistan could have a cross-border exchange any point of time, even as we talk. But you're okay with playing cricket in the Asia Cup. I think this is the ultimate insult to the intelligence, respect and decency of the people of India. You're in power, you're obviously abusing it in brazen fashion, but your arrogance and your humiliation and your insensitivity is being watched by the viewers of NDTV and the people of India.
What arrogance are you talking about? Arrogance are you talking about?
Let me just say one thing. Sanjay Jha makes the distinction between what Anand said, which is that after 26/11 also we played the World Cup, etc. Sanjay Jha says right now you've got the Prime Minister saying Operation Sindur is still very much on at a military level. And that is the difference. And even while that operation is on, you're still playing, a tournament that involves Pakistan. And this whole multilateral excuse doesn't actually apply here. How would you respond to that or justify that?
When we say Operation Sindur is on, what it means is that we are in a ready mode to attack them the moment they, indulge in another misadventure. We will not keep postponing action like Congress Party did after at least 50 terror attacks in the country. And for, Sanjay Jha to call other people stupid, he's the height of stupidity. Even after all the stupidity that he does every day, Congress doesn't call him back. So he should be a little more restrained in his words.
Tohin Sinha, you could not answer my question because you have no answers. And Shiv, let me tell you the truth. In the format of the Asia Cup, India and Pakistan will end up playing again.
One at a time.
India and Pakistan will end up playing again.
Tuhin, let Sanjay speak. I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Shiv, let me tell you, if you look at the format of the Asia Cup, it is designed to make India and Pakistan play again. And I'm telling you why this is happening. Because of the simple fact that you also have a very influential cabinet minister's son who heads the ICC. So clearly the BCCI, the ICC, everything is under the BJP control. And the government is absolutely, in my opinion, the most shameless government that I have seen since 1947. I didn't call you stupid. I called your view stupid, Tuhin Sinha. Please don't take it too badly. You're a dear friend. Your view was stupid. That I have no harm in repeating again.
Yes. Tuhin, you can answer that.
The point is the Congress, Party, it's too rich of the Congress Party to sermonize us, considering that after every terror attack in the country, they would plead for friendship with Pakistan. As far as we are concerned, even tomorrow, Shiv, I'm assuring you, if tomorrow Pakistan indulges in another misadventure, we will not take time to this time teach an even bigger lesson to Pakistan. But when it comes to sports, please understand that, India and Pakistan's engagement are not limited to cricket there. And India's participation in Olympics and across all sports, even outside cricket, is far greater today than it was, 15 years ago.
In the current mahal, the political mahal that there is, a soundbite by Shahid Afridi has triggered a high-level response from the BJP. This isn't just spokespersons and representatives of the party.
No, because he also
you've got
India
ministers like
with
Kiran
Israel.
Rijiju saying that Rahul Gandhi is the darling of Pakistan. But you wanted to add to what Sanjay and Tuhin were saying. Go ahead, Anand.
All I would say, look, let's have one rule, because let me be very honest. If you are hypocritical, then you lose the right to call out the hypocrisy of others. Now, please remember that all my good friends out here on the panel, you, me, including Shiv, have been calling out the hypocrisy of Donald Trump on the ad valorem 25% tariff. Now, why have we calling that out? We are saying that why is India being selectively punished when China and EU are buying more Russian oil? So why is Trump being hypocritical? Now, I turn that mirror on myself. If I am hypocritical and if I say that, well, we are having a minuscule trade is still trade. Let us go by first principles. And if, my good friend Sanjay says, well, we could have foregone this. But at the same time, he says, let's not forego participation in Olympics or World Cup. Then that's being hypocritical as well. Let us have one rule.
Shiv, can I have a short answer to that?
Short answer, and then I want to zoom out for the last round of questions. Yes, Sanjay.
Yeah. My short answer is, everyone knows, Shiv, you're a very good on national security. Everybody knows that China literally fought this war on behalf of Pakistan with the use of their missiles and their aircrafts. Guess what is India's trade deficit with China? $100 billion and plus. For a $45 trade surplus that India has, look how hard Donald Trump is breathing down our neck. We have $100 billion
but we've stood
trade
up to
deficit
Trump,
with China,
we stood
and we
up
have
to
nothing
Trump.
to say.
That's unfair.
There's no answer. I don't think Tuhin can answer that question.
Okay, let me zoom out because we've almost run out of time. Anand, I'll start with you, 60 seconds to each. Ultimately, this whole hyphenation, de-hyphenation exercise with Pakistan has failed, Anand. Ultimately, we're still so affected by what happens there. Our political conversations are still so colored by what the Pakistanis are saying. De-hyphenation has not happened. We are reminded daily about it.
I agree that it's, one step forward. And we thought actually after 2018, 2019, there were like 10 steps forward and half a step back. Unfortunately, we've gone back. I hope we don't go back to the days of track to diplomacy ship, But the fact of the matter is, the last 5 or 6 years, we've taught Pakistan a lesson simply by ignoring it. And other nations have realized as well. But I would say all is not lost, because now even the world realizes that whenever we feel like it, we will take steps against Pakistan without care in the world what the world thinks. And putting in abeyance the Indus Water Treaty is one example. I mean, the world has noted it, has not punished India for it. So I think it's good that has happened. I just wish that this controversy could have been handled better.
I completely agree. Tuhin, last word, final word from you, and then I'll end with Sanjay.
Shahid Afridi's comments, you have to look at it not just in isolation. Look at the kind of people who have supported Rahul Gandhi, whether it is Ilhana Omar, whether it is Hafiz Saeed. Point is today, Congress party has more support outside the country, and especially, across the border than within the country. So, ideally, Pawan Khera should tomorrow hold a press conference and denounce the fact that, any Pakistani calling India and Israel perhaps directly stems out of Priyanka Gandhi's comments in the last 1 year. And that should not be accepted by any political party in the country. Obviously, they would trivialize the whole discussion, because their whole, philosophy is such that India is rejecting Congress party time and again, and it remains unabashed.
Sanjay, last word to you as promised. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Shiv. You've been very fair. I need to publicly acknowledge that. My simple answer will be this. It's time that this fake pseudo moral grandstanding of the BJP is exposed. You remember, Shiv, Colonel Sofia Qureshi, a brave, intrepid soldier who represents our country, gets called in a nasty abuse by a BJP leader, says she's like a sister to the terrorists who came from across the border. I saw no action really happening, barring the token we condemn and we regret. No action against the gentleman, I think Mr. Vijay Shah of the BJP. I think this is basically the whole pseudo-nationalistic narrative on which BJP tries to fool the people of this country. I think the people of country have seen through their entire gambit. And in Bihar and thereafter, I think they'll see hopefully the beginning of their end.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much, Sanjay, Tuhin and Anand, for being with me tonight. Shahid Afridi making the headlines. I wish it were different, but here we are. And I will continue to keep the spotlight and ask the questions at a time when the hypocrisy really goes in every direction when it comes to India, Pakistan, doesn't it? And we've sort of demonstrated it here on the show as well. That's a wrap. The news continues on the other side with Gauri Dwivedi. Thanks for staying.
The world's defining stage. Leaders, visionaries, decision makers, confronting the challenges of our time.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने।
NDTV World Summit 2025, Edge of the Unknown, 17th to 18th October, only on NDTV.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा।
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है।
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire dabba trading scam.
The best app to use is the NDTV app.
दुनिया भर में जब भी भारतीय मीडिया की चर्चा होती है तो एनडीटीवी सबसे पहले जिक्र में आता है।
मैं आपका बात से सहमत हूं। उल्टे हम भी जब विदेश जाते हैं the best app to use is the NDTV app.
We're the only country with such a large population of youth and yuva.
Pure talent और कुछ नहीं है.
बुलाने वाला फ्यूचर काफी अच्छा है स्पोर्ट्स का.
Luck, patience and a lot of tolerance.
Life can change overnight.
जीवन में मैंने कोशिश की है सदैव चुनौती को अपनाने.
We need to work towards an egalitarian society, regardless of gender and orientation.
Across the country.
He has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. And now, Aditya Raj Kaul begins a new chapter at NDTV.
Actually, I'm taking off because the stories I cover don't sit still. To bring the world to India and to take India to the world, I need to be where action is.
Aditya Raj Kaul, covering international affairs like no one else. Only on NDTV network.
Pulling us into this country.
They argue, I conclude. They deflect, I drill down. This isn't a free-for-all. It's a reckoning. No filler, no fog. Only the facts and where they lead. Every night at 9, the case closes because the buck stops here.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I
hold
CDSL for the long term? Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Now the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players and this is going to be the ultimate test.
Rajasthan is history, culture and much more. And I have been reporting on all things royal for more than 25 years.
The colors, the culture and the complexities of the Northeast is different from the rest of the country. I have been bringing the Northeast closer to the capital for over 15 years. Madhya Pradesh is the heart of India and I have been capturing its every beat for over 10 years, covering the corridors of power, what is said, what is left unsaid, and what it actually means for you and me. I have it all covered.
Kashmir is often called paradise on earth, a region that has been in a state of flux from conflict to India's crowning glory. I have been reporting and decoding Jammu and Kashmir for last 3 decades.
A very good evening. You're watching NDTV. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. The big focus and the big stories that we are tracking this hour include the major fuss that the Pakistan Cricket Board has created and a controversy
that it has actually manufactured, only to now go back. Let's get you the big stories that we're tracking this hour. Pakistan won't boycott Asia Cup. Next match slated against UAE. This means that this was all talk that Pakistan was putting out, big posturing ahead of a match that it cannot afford to not play. Shahid Afridi praises Rahul Gandhi, BJP trains guns. Shahid Afridi says Rahul Gandhi has positive mindset. BJP says that Rahul Gandhi is the fanboy in Pakistan. Congress hits back with the Shahid Afridi Arak Singh Thakur picture. Jaish leader exposes Pakistan on Operation Sindur, admits Masood Azhar's kin was killed in the strike during Operation Sindur. An NDTV exclusive, days ahead of Election Commission announcing the Bihar election dates. Chirag Paswan on NDTV says that Prime Minister Modi is with him. Top story on the show, Pakistan withdraws the boycott call to avoid ICC sanctions. Cricket Asia Cup update coming in. Pakistan did not hold a press conference a day before the Asia Cup. Pakistan cricket team will practice tonight. It has to play against UAE tomorrow. There is no boycott that is happening. So all of that was a lot of posturing, a lot of talk. But in the end, Pakistan is deciding that it will play and not boycott the Asia Cup. It can reach Super 4 by defeating UAE, and if defeated, then Pakistan will face India in the Super 4 clash on the 21st of September. Let's get in Sriram for more on this. The fact that Pakistan is not boycotting Asia Cup indicates this was just posturing for its home audiences.
Well, absolutely. I think this is one of the reasons for Pakistan, threatening to boycott the Asia Cup was, of course, as we talked about, there was all a bit of optics for them. But now it is quite clear that they are, they have withdrawn their call for boycotting because they wanted to avoid the ICC sanctions that could possibly be stuck on them if they had gone through with the boycotting call that they had proposed earlier. So now that in the position that we stand right now, Pakistan will not be boycotting the Asia Cup. They are going to be playing against the UAE tomorrow. However, they did not hold pre-match press conference before this game, but it does look like they will be going ahead with the game because if they do beat the UAE tomorrow, they will then be qualifying for the Super 4s, where there is a possibility that they will play India on the 21st of September. And then as that match comes closer and when India do indeed play Pakistan in that game, the winner of that game will, of course, directly qualify for the final. And if Pakistan were to win against India in that game, that, of course, does add another situation into the mix where possibly India and Pakistan could play in the final of the Asia Cup if the scenarios were to go in that particular order, which would then again, of course, add even more drama to the case where it would be the third game where India and Pakistan take each other on in the Asia Cup, which has been, quite controversy-ridden so far.
All right. Those permutations and combinations will pan out. But one thing is for certain, that Pakistan will stay in the tournament. It's not boycotting. All that was just posturing. And that's how the cookie crumbles. Well, Pakistani cricketers have been in news today for all the reasons that are outside of cricket, outside of their game, outside of their craft. Shockwaves across political landscape came through after former Pakistan cricketer Shahid Afridi praised Congress leader Rahul Gandhi in a public statement, calling him a positive-minded leader who believes in dialogue. Shahid Afridi's remark has sparked a fierce political face-off in India. The BJP has slammed the Congress, calling Rahul Gandhi Pakistan's favorite politician, while the Congress has countered with accusations of double standards, sharing old images of BJP leaders posing with Afridi. As the political slugfest escalates, the big question is Pakistani praise political poison in India, or is it just political theatrics?
ये बहुत ही गंदा किस्म का माइंड
है गंदा किस्म का, ये उस वक्त तक रहेगा जब तक इनके बड़े यही हैं। ठीक है ना, इनके अच्छे हैं। जैसे राहुल गांधी की अगर मैं बात करूं, राहुल गांधी बहुत पॉजिटिव माइंडसेट वाला आदमी है। वो डायलॉग्स के जरिए वो हर एक के साथ चलना चाहता है, दुनिया के साथ। लेकिन ये टोटली पाकिस्तान, आई मीन के कम ऑन यार, एक इजराइल काफी नहीं है कि तुम यहाँ पे इजराइल बनने की कोशिश कर रहे हो।
Why is it that every anti-India element supports Rahul Gandhi or loves Rahul Gandhi? He has been backed by terrorist Hafiz Saeed. He has been backed by anti-India element Ilan Omar. He has been backed by separatist, Khalistani separatist terrorist Gurpant Singh Pannu. And now he's been backed by ISI agent Shahid Afridi. And all of them combined hate Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So it's aptly clear, all the patriots in this country love Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and all those who hate India love Rahul Gandhi. This is why the people of this country say Rahul Gandhi is the leader of anti-national forces and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the leader of pro-Bharat forces. Rahul in the past has made it aptly clear he wants to fight the Indian state.
Months after India destroyed several terror establishments in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir under Operation Sindur, a Jaish-e-Munir commander has admitted that the family of Masood Azhar, the terror group's top commander, was torn into pieces in strikes in Bahawalpur. A viral video on internet shows the Jaish-e-Munir commander Masood Ilyas Kashmiri explaining how the Indian armed forces entered their hideout and attacked them. Jaish-e-Munir has admitted that the family of its founder Masood Azhar was targeted in India's Operation Sindur strikes that took place in the Bahawalpur terror camps. In a viral video, Jaish-e-Munir commander Ilyas Kashmiri confirmed the 7th of May attack that tore apart Azhar's kin, marking the first official acknowledgement from these terror groups.
ये टेररिज्म, ये दहशतगर्दी की बकवास सीने के साथ लगाए इस मुल्क की नजरियाती जुग्राफियाई सरहदों के लिए कभी हम दिल्ली से टकराए, कभी हम काबुल में टकराए, कभी हम कंधार से टकराए। सब कुछ कुर्बान करने के बाद 7 मई को बहावलपुर के अंदर मौलाना मसूद अजहर की फैमिली के लोग, बहनें और बेटे और बच्चे रेजा रेजा हो गए, टुकड़ों में तकसीम हो गए। डर की बात नहीं है। मौलाना की तरबियत, मौलाना का तरीका, उसलूब और मनहज, मौलाना का एतदाल और मौलाना की सच्चाई बता रही है कि भावलपुर के अंदर वो मासूम 2-2, 4-4, 5 साल के बच्चों के ताबूत निकलते हैं और इधर GHK उसे आर्मी चीफ ऑर्डर जारी करता है कि इन शुहादा के ताबूतों को सलामी दी जाए। कोर कमांडर इनके जनाजे में शरीक होगा, फजाइया इनके जनाजों पर पहरा देगी, आर्मी के जवान अपनी वर्दी के अंदर इनको सलामी पेश करेंगे। 25 साल सबर, हिम्मत, इस्तिकामत के बाद आज हम रियासत को, बर्री और बहरी फजाई अफवाज को जिहादी नजरिए के ऊपर लेकर आए हैं।
Pakistan Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif, along with his army chief Asim Munir, are all set to meet President Donald Trump next week. The two leaders will hold talks with Donald Trump on the 25th of September. This will be on the sidelines of the UNGA. Pakistan's news has actually reported this. And as per reports coming in, the agenda of the meeting will include discussions on issues ranging from Pakistan's devastating floods to the fallout of the Israeli strike on Qatar. The diplomatic tensions between New Delhi and Islamabad are also expected to be addressed in this high-level dialogue. Remains to be seen how significant this will be and the messaging this sends as far as Donald Trump looking to act as far as terrorism is concerned. How significant will that be? This meeting will point that out.
This is a big development that Shehbaz Sharif, the Pakistani Prime Minister, will be meeting the US President Trump on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly later this month on September 25th. This meeting is happening just weeks after the ending of the Operation Sindur, in which Pakistan had to face an embarrassment and a debacle at the hands of the Indian Armed Forces. And then, of course, Jaish-e-Munir was welcomed at the White House for a meal with Donald Trump. Jaish-e-Munir later again was welcomed at the farewell ceremony of the Central Command Chief of the United States. Well, White House wanted, and Donald Trump wanted, a photo op between Modi, Jaish-e-Munir and Trump after the G7 meeting in Canada. That clearly did not happen. And this meeting also happens after Trump has 40 times mentioned that it was Trump administration and US that had made the ceasefire possible between India and the United States. That clearly is far from reality. But the big meeting between Sharif and Donald Trump will be happening on the sidelines of UNGA in the United States. India will be watching it closely because India and US have a very close counter-terrorism partnership and partnership on defense and technology. Whether Trump will ask Pakistan to act against terror groups like Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed also remains to be seen.
All right, shifting down south to big political news coming in. AIADMK Chief Edapadi Palanisamy is in the national capital to meet with top BJP leadership, including Home Minister Amit Shah. And EPS has been facing trouble from factions within his party and also demands from ousted AIADMK leaders to reunite the party. EPS met with Home Minister Amit Shah at his residence this evening. Remains to be seen what will be the strategy that the leaders have chalked out for the assembly elections next year.
எங்களுக்கு ஆட்சி அதிகாரம் இருப்பதை விட தன்மானம் தான் எங்களுக்கு முக்கியம். அது ஒரு முள் இம்மியளவுகள் நான் விட்டு கொடுக்க மாட்டேன். சில பேரை கைக்கூலியாக வைத்துக் கொண்டு ஆட்டம் போட்டுட்டு இருக்கிறீங்க. அந்த கைக்கூலிகள் யார் என்று அடையாளம் காட்டப்பட்டு விட்டோம். அதுக்கு விரைவில் முடிவு கட்டப்படும். சில பேர் அனைத்து இந்திய அண்ணா திராவிட முன்னேற்ற கழக ஆர்சி கவிழ்ப்பதற்கு எதிர்த்து ஓட்டு போட்டாங்க. மன்னிச்சு அவர்களை அரவணைத்து துணை முதலமைச்சர் கொடுத்தோம், உயர்ந்த பதவி கொடுத்தோம். மீண்டும் அவர்கள் திருந்த பாடில்லை. புனிதமாக அண்ணா திமுக கோயிலாக இருக்கின்ற அந்த தலைமை கழகத்தை அடித்து நுரைக்கி மற்றவர்களை கட்சியில் சேர்த்த வேணுமா?
Compare the election of Stalin as the chief minister by the MLAs and the people. Compare the election of Edapadi as chief minister. How he took all MLAs to Kuvatur and got elected. Then you will know who has self-respect. When Edapadi came to power, need had come. Because Edapadi was afraid of BJP. Even now, he is afraid that BJP will take action against his family members. That is why he had fallen at the feet of BJP.
All right, Vijay joins us for more on this. Vijay, walk us through the significance of this meeting and what could be the strategy that they are now working out for the elections next year.
Yes, that's right. Amidst the confusions in ADMK, there was a lot of internal party conflict going on in ADMK party. A few days back, ADMK veteran leader Sengote demanded like ADMK should be united. He also demanded readmission of expelled ADMK leaders like Sasikala, O. Pannirselvam and TTV Dinagaran. Even though after he also sets deadline as a 10 days for that, which got over yesterday. But you know that yesterday itself, Edapadi Palanisamy, the day before his Delhi visit, that is yesterday, he said a big no to such a suggestion. He also said there is no space for betrayers in the party. Says that such person tries to topple the government after the demise of former Chief Minister Jayalalitha. So in that scenario, Edapadi Palanisamy is in Delhi. He also met Union Minister Amit Shah. According to our sources, the meeting went around 25 to 30 minutes along with senior leaders also like SP Velamani and other CV Shanmugam and other senior leaders were part of that meeting. Even after we got visuals from the Delhi where you can able to see the in the first vehicle the top senior leaders left Amit Shah's residence, but in a separate vehicle Edapadi Palanisamy left from the Amit Shah vehicle, which means there could be a possible for one-to-one meeting also. BJP also, state leaders also demand for unified ADMK, so that could be the possible discussion in the meeting. But however, Edappadi Palanisamy stays firm in his decision, saying that already ADMK is very strong. There is no internal conflict, and we all set for 2026 election.
All right, we leave it there, Vijay. Thanks much for breaking that down for us. Shifting focus now. Another day, another brutal reminder of the horrors on Indian roads. In Delhi, a top finance ministry official is killed after a BMW mows him down. In Haryana's Palwal, 2 school kids were crushed by a speeding cop's car. And in Indore, 3 children were run over by a police vehicle. Now, from luxury cars to official convoys, recklessness, lawlessness, and a complete disregard for life seems to be the common thread. How many more lives will be lost before accountability finally kicks in? Well, update coming in as far as the BMW crash is concerned. Court will be hearing the matter tomorrow, where the accused driver Gaganpreet had been sent to judicial custody after being arrested. The accused bail plea had been dismissed earlier. After further investigation, it was found that Gaganpreet was not driving under the influence of alcohol. Well, as far as the Palwal case is concerned, it's a horrifying hit-and-run case that took place in Palwal, where 2 young school children were dead and a third is now battling for his life. The vehicle involved belongs to the police. A speeding car, allegedly driven by a head constable, ran over 3 brothers returning from school in Palwal on Monday, killing 2 of them and leaving the third seriously injured. The accused is posted as a reader in the DSP office in Nuh. An FIR has been registered and the accused head constable has also been arrested.
शहाबुद्दीन मेरा लड़का, उसके लड़के थे, वो तीनों एक ही बाप एक ही माँ के। वो डेली अप डाउन करते थे, मतलब ये कि सरकारी स्कूल के लिए मैं उनको छोड़ के आता था। इत्तेफाक से कल मेरे पास बाइक नहीं थी, तो जैसे ही उनको 1:30 बजे छुट्टी हुई तो मैं उनको लेकर आ रहा था। वो मेरे आगे आगे चल रहे थे। पीछे से जस्ट ही हमारे पीछे से एक कार टेम्परेरी नंबर वाली हाई स्पीड और लापरवाही से बहुत ज्यादा तेजी से आई। जैसे वो हमारी तरफ आती दिखी तो मैंने गड्ढे में कूद के अपनी जान बचाई। जब तक मैं अपने पोतों की कुछ मदद करता तब तक एक्सीडेंट हो चुका था जी। और उसने एक्सीडेंट इतनी हाई स्पीड पे हुआ कि मेरे 2 पोते उसी टाइम पे एक्सपायर हो गए जी। तीसरे वाला जो बच्चा है वो इस टाइम पीजीआई रोहतक में है जी। तो वो गाड़ी वाला ठोक के मार के बच्चों को और वहां से भाग गया। भागने के बाद में तो रोड पे गांव वालों के सहयोग से उसको 2-3 किलोमीटर आगे रोका था जी। वहां पे जाके जब रोका था तो पता लगा कि वो एक हरियाणा पुलिस से है और वो दबंगई में बोल रहा था जी। दबंगई में बोल रहा था जी। तो मेरे बच्चे जो है जी डेली में अप डाउन करता था। हमारी उम्मीदें थी अपने बच्चों से कि उनको हम तरबियत शिक्षित करना चाहते थे ताकि वो भविष्य में अपने माँ और बाप का सहारा बने।
हाजी साहब, मैं आपसे जानना चाहता हूँ, क्या उम्र थी इन बच्चों की? इन बच्चों की उम्र क्या थी? जो कौन सी क्लास में पढ़ते थे?
ऑफिसर बनते और डॉक्टर बनते, चाहे वो भविष्य में एक पीएन ही बनते। क्या हमारा इरादा था कि अपने माँ बाप का आगे भविष्य में वो सहारा बने।
बिल्कुल।
तो जी हम हिंदुस्तानी हैं, हिंदुस्तानी होते हुए हमें हिंदुस्तान के हर हक पे हमारा हक है। मैं प्रशासन से यही सहयोग गुहार लगाता हूँ कि मतलब ये कि मेरे बच्चों की कैलकुलेशन के हिसाब से मेरे बेटे और मेरी बहू के लिए जो हक है, न्याय है, वो न्याय मिलना चाहिए सर।
हाजी साहब, मैं आपसे जानना चाहता हूं कि क्या उम्र थी इन बच्चों की? कौन सी क्लास में पढ़ते थे?
ये जी 2री, 3री, 4थी क्लास में पढ़ते थे जी। जो बड़ा वाला लड़का है उसका नाम अयान था और 13 साल का था जी। वो 4थी क्लास में पढ़ता था। उससे छोटा था जी अरबाज एहसान जी, वो 3री में पढ़ता था। और जो जब से सबसे छोटा है तो जी वो मतलब एक 2री क्लास में पढ़ता था जी मोहम्मद अरजान।
Another shocking story that came in. On that note, viewers, we slip into a quick break. We return with more news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
ब्रेकिंग न्यूज का जमाना है। सबको तिल का ताड़ और राई का पहाड़ बनाना है। ऐसे में जनता के जूते के अंदर फंसा कंकड़ कौन देखे? बड़े बड़े मुद्दों के शोर में जमीन से जुड़े मुद्दे अक्सर खो जाते हैं। लेकिन देश तरक्की तब करता है जब जनता के माथे की शिकन हमारी हेडलाइंस बनती है। मैं सैयद सुहेल भारत को जीता हूं, भारत की बात बताता हूं। एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
We see the problems, but you as a social entrepreneur see the solutions. You are not just creating solution, you are creating a future where everyone has a chance to thrive. For the change makers, the innovators, the ones building a better world, one solution at a time. The Adani Green Talk Social Impact Awards are created for you. Green Talk Social Impact Awards 2025, coming soon.
The world's defining stage. Leaders, visionaries, decision makers, confronting the challenges of our time.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी, सिर्फ भारत की नहीं।
Cloudburst struck Uttarakhand's Dehradun on Monday night due to heavy rainfall, submerging several houses in Tapovan and causing severe waterlogging in Shahzdara and the IT Park area. 2 people are reportedly missing, and my colleague Aishwarya has sent this ground report from Dehradun. Take a look.
Well, right now we are reporting from the banks of Thaw River and extensive damage has been reported in several areas near the banks of Thaw River because of the flash floods that arrived late night in Dehradun. And let me quickly show you these visuals from the banks. The bridge over here has completely been collapsed, due to which the connectivity has completely stopped. It is also being stated to us that there has been these electricity poles, these billboards has been collapsed, several hotels just nearby this Thaw River has also fallen into the river as well. The levels of Thaw River was much higher yesterday, but it has come down. But there has been several places where rescue work is still, going on. As far as this area is concerned, this is Premnagar area, and it is just a few meters away from the Uttaranchal University, where hundreds of students study. And on the other side of this particular bridge is these hostels that you see, in which several of the students used to live, but the connectivity has completely been broken because of this bridge collapse. There you can see the entire area fallen into the Thaw River. People living nearby this area has come over here to the banks to see the condition. These are students as well as the people living by this this area. But it's just not this area in Premnagar in Dehradun, but also other areas as well, which has been reported such kind of damages. There are people who the NDRF, SDRF teams are rescuing as well. But as my camera person is showing these visuals, banks of Thaw River, there you can see the entire corner has completely been damaged. But as I was mentioning, it is also Shahzdara, which has been one place which has also seen several hotels, shops collapsing into the river. As I was mentioning, that this particular river, which is Thaw River, the levels have come down. But as IMD has predicted that there might be such situation in the near future as well in the upcoming few days, where there could be cloudburst possibility in the upper areas of Uttarakhand, and people had been advised to live or not to come near the river, perhaps to go few meters away from such places where the river flows. But here we can see several people also coming in to see how this damage has occurred. Of course, the connectivity has completely been stopped, but the rescue operations in several areas in Dehradun is still underway.
With the journalist Ashwin, this is Aishwarya Jain for NDTV in Dehradun.
Shifting focus now to the other big story on the show. India and US have held trade talks. Both sides have called the outcome actually positive. This is the first round of talks that have taken place post the 50% tariffs that have been levied by the Trump administration. Now, next steps have to be identified in terms of the formal trade dialogue that is hopefully likely to begin going forward. And discussions have been forward-looking is the message that has come in from the Indian side. Remember, this is not the official negotiation that is taking place on the trade deal, but a precursor to that, essentially ensuring that the talks happen in a better climate and a better atmosphere, given the fact that they were vitiated due to the jibes and the slurs that came in from the Trump administration. Now, how soon will those be concluded and how soon will the trade talks actually take place? Aditya Rajkal has the answer to that.
The trade talks between the US Chief Negotiator Lynch and India's Chief Negotiator Rajesh Agarwal continued for nearly 7 hours here in New Delhi today. Lynch described the talks as positive and towards a direction where the negotiations between India and United States on the trade talks will continue. In fact, now we are looking towards the 6th round of talks that will happen between India and the United States. This comes at a time when US has imposed 50% tariffs on India, and of course the 6th round of meeting that was slated to be held in the last week of August has in fact been postponed indefinitely. But now in the next couple of weeks we could possibly see the 6th round of talks to happen, and at the same time we will see a trade deal being inked between Washington DC and New Delhi perhaps by November. India on its stance has maintained that it maintains strategic autonomy and will continue trade and getting Russian oil continuously, and there will be no change in that policy. That has continued for the last many years and will continue even today. India is certainly not going to bow down. At the same time, India's top priority is for the US to remove the 50% tariffs as soon as possible. Will that happen now or will that happen in the next few days? Only time will tell. But certainly all seems to be now normal and heading towards a positive direction. As far as the trade talks are concerned, this happens at a time when Donald Trump and a lot of Trump advisors had made nasty comments on India. But of late, there has been a reset in the ties, with Donald Trump welcoming Prime Minister Narendra Modi's stance and saying that he's a close friend and there's nothing wrong between the two countries. Marco Rubio also positioning India as a top relationship of United States, and then reciprocation from Prime Minister Narendra Modi and External Affairs Minister Jaishankar saying that India values the bilateral global trade partnership and the strategic partnership with United States. How soon will the trade talks now happen and how soon can the trade deal be inked? Perhaps the next few weeks will have an answer.
All right, with that, we wrap things up on the show. Thanks so much for watching. News and updates will continue on the other side.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा.
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है?
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire dabba trading scam.
The best app to use is the NDTV app.
दुनिया भर में जब भी भारतीय मीडिया की चर्चा होती है तो एनडीटीवी सबसे पहले जिक्र में आता है.
मैं आपका बात से सहमत हूं. उल्टे हम भी जब विदेश जाते हैं, the best app to use is the NDTV app.
We're the only country with such a large population of youth and yuva.
Pure talent और कुछ नहीं है.
बुलाने वाला फ्यूचर काफी अच्छा है स्पोर्ट्स का.
Luck, patience and a lot of tolerance.
life can change overnight.
जीवन में मैंने कोशिश की है सदैव चुनौती को अपनाने की.
We need to work towards an egalitarian society, regardless of gender and orientation.
Across the country, he has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. And now, Aditya Raj Kaul begins a new chapter at NDTV.
Actually, I'm taking off because the stories I cover don't sit still. To bring the world to India.
A very good evening. You're watching NDTV. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. The big focus and the big stories that we are tracking this hour include the major fuss that the Pakistan Cricket Board has created and a controversy that it has actually manufactured only to now go back. Let's get you the big stories that we're tracking this hour. Pakistan won't boycott Asia Cup. Next match slated against UAE. This means that this was all talk that Pakistan was putting out, big posturing ahead of a match that it cannot afford to not play. Shahid Afridi praises Rahul Gandhi, BJP trains guns. Shahid Afridi says Rahul Gandhi has positive mindset. BJP says that Rahul Gandhi is the fanboy in Pakistan. Congress hits back with the Shahid Afridi Arak Singh Thakur picture. Jaish leader exposes Pakistan on Operation Sindur, admits Masood Azhar's kin was killed in the strike during Operation Sindur. An NDTV exclusive days ahead of Election Commission announcing the Bihar election dates. Chirag Paswan on NDTV says that Prime Minister Modi is with him. Top story on the show, Pakistan withdraws the boycott call to avoid ICC sanctions. Cricket Asia Cup update coming in. Pakistan did not hold a press conference a day before the Asia Cup. Pakistan cricket team will practice tonight. It has to play against UAE tomorrow. There is no boycott that is happening. So all of that was a lot of posturing, a lot of talk. But in the end, Pakistan is deciding that it will play and not boycott the Asia Cup. It can reach Super 4 by defeating UAE, and if defeated, then Pakistan will face India in the Super 4 clash on the 21st of September. Let's get in Sriram for more on this. The fact that Pakistan is not boycotting Asia Cup indicates this was just posturing for its home audiences.
Well, absolutely. I think this is one of the reasons for Pakistan, threatening to boycott the Asia Cup was, of course, as we talked about, there was all a bit of optics for them. But now it is quite clear that they are, they have withdrawn their call for boycotting because they wanted to avoid the ICC sanctions that could possibly be stuck on them if they had gone through with the boycotting call that they had proposed earlier. So now that in the position that we stand right now, Pakistan will not be boycotting the Asia Cup. They are going to be playing against the UAE tomorrow. However, they did not hold the pre-match press conference before this game, but it does look like they will be going ahead with the game because if they do beat the UAE tomorrow, they will then be qualifying for the Super 4s, where there is a possibility that they will play India on the 21st of September. And then as that match comes closer and when India do indeed play Pakistan in that game, the winner of that game will, of course, directly qualify for the final. And if Pakistan were to win against India in that game, that, of course, does add another situation into the mix where possibly India and Pakistan could play in the final of the Asia Cup if the scenarios were to go in that particular order, which would then again, of course, add even more drama to the case, where it would be the third game where India and Pakistan take each other on in the Asia Cup, which has been, quite controversy-ridden so far.
All right. Those permutations and combinations will pan out, but one thing is for certain, that Pakistan will stay in the tournament. It's not boycotting. All that was just posturing, and that's how the cookie crumbles. Well, Pakistani cricketers have been in news today for all the reasons that are outside of cricket, outside of their game, outside of their craft. Shockwaves across political landscape came through after former Pakistan cricketer Shahid Afridi praised Congress leader Rahul Gandhi in a public statement, calling him a positive-minded leader who believes in dialogue. Shahid Afridi's remark has sparked a fierce political face-off in India. The BJP has slammed the Congress, calling Rahul Gandhi Pakistan. Breaking news coming in as we speak. President Donald Trump has wished Prime Minister Modi on his birthday, and Prime Minister Modi has put out this post on social media saying, "Thank you, my friend President Trump, for your phone call and warm greetings on my 75th birthday. Like you, I'm also fully committed to taking the India-US comprehensive and global partnership." Now, these are very important words that are being used. Every word matters. So, India-US comprehensive and global partnership to new heights. We support your initiatives towards a peaceful resolution of the Ukraine conflict. Now, viewers, this is extremely significant. On the eve of Prime Minister Modi's birthday, there's a phone call that has come in wishing him from President Trump. It also indicates that the thaw in the relationship, the warming of ties is very much there. This follows President Trump's olive branch that came in, and when he extended the olive branch last week, which has been followed by the talks that took place between the trade negotiators on both sides, and that has now been followed by President Trump wishing Prime Minister Modi on his birthday. So extremely significant sequence of events where the words, the phrases that have been used by the Prime Minister, comprehensive global partnership to be taken to new heights. This is the phrase. And then Prime Minister Modi also goes on to say the peaceful resolution of the Ukraine conflict that President Trump is chasing and is looking for is something that that India fully supports. I believe Aditya is with us on the phone line for more on this. Aditya Rajkal, my colleague, joins us on the phone line. Extremely significant, Aditya. This comes on a day there have been a series of very important developments that have come in, and that, of course, culminates with a phone call between the two leaders.
Well, certainly, Gauri, this is a much-awaited phone call. We've been waiting for weeks for this phone call to take place, and what better day on Prime Minister's birthday. And in fact, Donald Trump, the US President, is the first global leader to personally call Prime Minister Narendra Modi and wish him on his birthday. In fact, Prime Minister Modi going on to thank Donald Trump for the phone call and the warm greetings on the 75th birthday, and says that he's fully committed to taking the India-US comprehensive global partnership to new heights, and supports towards a peaceful resolution of the Ukraine conflict. So certainly there has been an icebreaker. There have also been backroom dialogues that have been underway. Back-channel has been very active over the last couple of weeks. We've seen United States also softening its stance. And Gauri, as you rightly pointed out, today has been a hectic day for the chief negotiators of both Washington, D.C. and New Delhi, who have been in hectic parleys for the last 7 hours, and in fact told NDTV that the meetings have been very positive. So it does seem that perhaps in the next couple of months there could be a possibility of a trade deal being inked between these countries. But the statements and the bonhomie on social media being witnessed between Modi and Trump does remind us of the first term of Trump, which saw a lot of bonhomie, a lot of color, a lot of vibrant energy between India and the United States. So, of course, a big statement from Prime Minister Modi thanking Donald Trump for the positive and certainly the wishes that have come in.
And very important, where we must point out that the message that Prime Minister Modi has put out says, "Thank you, my friend, President Trump. Now that every word matters, and I'm going to get into Vishnu's show as well for more on this. Now, Vishnu, we've been talking about the warming of ties between India and US after those very significant slurs and jibes that came in from the Trump administration. The fact that that President Trump is the first world leader to wish Prime Minister Modi, the fact that there's been phrases that have been used, comprehensive global partnership to be taken to new heights, indicates that both leaders are cognizant of bringing this relationship back on track, scaling it and looking at it on a 360-degree basis.
I think we want to fix the relationship which had gone sour, with several questions being raised on the diplomatic relationship itself. It had gone sour as a result of the trade agreement between India and the US not making headway, and because of India's continued import of Russian oil. Now, while that may not necessarily change, the fact that the US is coming around, specifically Donald Trump himself, is significant. As you pointed out, the words that he's used, Prime Minister Modi, in referring to President Trump as his friend, "Thank you, my friend, for your phone call and warm greetings on my 75th birthday. Like you, I am also fully committed to taking the India-US comprehensive global partnership to new heights." Now, that's important because that's the premise and the basis of the relationship between the United States and India. It's a massive relationship. It's been built up over 25 years. And in as much as India has an autonomous foreign policy where we look at countries like Russia very closely, which have been a historical partner, there is little doubt that America remains a very big trading partner, potentially an even larger trading partner if there is a breakthrough in the trade talks between the two countries. But there's a defense relationship as well. There's a people-to-people relationship. And therefore, if there is an effort now at righting that relationship, which appeared to have gone sour, not least of all because of statements made by Donald Trump and his White House advisor, Pete Navarro, then I would suggest that that's a welcome development in the relationship between the two sides. And it augurs well for any potential deal, working out in terms of a trade agreement. So I don't think there is anything that India would do to take away from our position, which has been that we are autonomous. We'll continue to work this the way it works for us in terms of a trade deal and our economic interests with regard to the import of oil. But absolutely, yes, America remains a priority for us as well. We are a global strategic partnership. And I think the fact that the Prime Minister and Donald Trump have had such a warm sort of exchange augurs well for the relationship.
Absolutely, and that's where the ties need to start warming, which is at the level of the leadership, which is at the level of Prime Minister Modi and President Trump, where you call each other my friend. The fact that there is a comprehensive global partnership, that both are looking to scale this up further, is indicative of the intent on both sides to look at the other strategic aspects of this relationship, which has been dominated in the last couple of weeks due to the trade deal, where there's not been a meeting of minds. But it also comes on a day when both sides are at least looking to bring the talks back on track. That also needs to be pointed out. And I think that is equally significant as well. Now, Vishnu, from here on, if we were to look at what lies ahead, the fact that the two leaders have exchanged pleasantries, the fact that President Trump is the first leader to reach out and wish Prime Minister Modi, in terms of what is it that we are looking at? In fact, Vishnu, stay with me because I want to quickly now rope in Daniel Block as well, senior editor of Foreign Affairs magazine, joining me for more on this. Daniel, your first thoughts on this phone call that has taken place between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump comes after weeks of some very nasty comments that came in from the Trump administration that soured the relationship a bit. But how do you see this now? The leaders talking, a phone call, Prime Minister Modi being greeted by President Trump, and he becoming the first leader to be wishing him.
Well, I see it as more evidence that we're seeing a slight warming of ties, maybe a thaw in tensions between the United States and India. That after weeks upon weeks of rising tensions and tariffs and anger, both sides appear they appear to be looking for ways to de-escalate a little bit. And we've seen other pieces of evidence of this over the last couple of weeks. We saw Trump, again, talk about how India and the United States had a special relationship. We've seen increased talks and contact between high-level economic officials in both countries. So it seems like there is a kind of fundamental recognition among both parties that this is an important relationship for both sides, that they do want to salvage it if they can. And I think that what's happened here is just more evidence of that fact.
Right. It is evidence of the fact that both sides are willing to move forward on this. Now, Daniel, sitting in DC, now, how do you see this moving forward from here on? There's been warming of ties. There's been an olive branch extended by President Trump. Both sides are looking to work out some of the differences they have with regards to the trade deal. And this exchange of pleasantries and a phone call between the two leaders. How do you see this in DC, and where do you see this going from here on?
I think there are two different currents at work here. The first is the kind of general geopolitical reality of the situation, which is that these countries have a lot to offer each other in terms of friendship. And there's longstanding currents in both of them, in both governments, that want to push for closer ties. And those still exist. They're going to be at work. I think we see them at work here. At the other end of it, though, you have the fact that Trump is a very erratic president. He changes his mind often. He's easily slighted. And both Trump and Modi have strong nationalistic images that they like to project of themselves. They want to be viewed as strong, proud leaders. And I think that that means this is still a combustible situation. We're seeing a warming of ties now. We're seeing, it seems, the geopolitical imperatives taking control again. But it's hard to say going forward. I mean, we could have another incident in an hour, in a week, in a day, where suddenly...
No, Daniel, you're going into the realm of too many uncertainties, but that's just one aspect of it. But as things stand right now, there is a very important development that has taken place. Aditya joins me live as well. Vishnu Shom is on the phone line, and let's get all of them on the screen as well. Now, Aditya, let me come to you first, which is that as things stand right now, there is a very important development where President Trump has wished Prime Minister Modi on his 75th birthday, becoming the first world leader at a time when there are talks about, how soon can the two countries get back on the trajectory towards closing a trade deal. There are also several other aspects of the relationship that are likely to be prioritized and will be in focus. Walk us through the significance of this phone call and what are we looking at from here on?
Well, it's quite significant, really. There have been positive statements in the last couple of weeks that have been coming in regularly from the Trump administration, and that's a departure from what we have witnessed over the last couple of months, be it Peter Navarro's nasty remarks on India, the Maharaja of tariffs, jibe. Apart from that, also that Brahmins have been profiteering. But in my understanding, and you were with me, Gauri, when we were in Tianjin covering the SCO summit, that kind of a huddle between Modi, Putin and Xi Jinping sent shockwaves in Washington, D.C. And there was a social media post on Truth Social by Trump suggesting that India and Russia have been lost to United States, has been lost by United States to China. That really meant that there had to be a recalibration of thought process, of diplomacy in the White House, in the office of the U.S. Secretary of State. And that's when we had a very loud message from Trump saying that Modi is a friend and there will not be a problem. There is nothing to worry about. And then Marco Rubio went on to say that India is the top relationship. So there is, of course, a lot of economics into it, that Indian market access that US requires. And of course, there will be deliberations and consensus reached in the trade talks. Today, there was a 7-hour-long discussion between India's chief negotiator and his counterpart. And finally, they described, when I spoke to them, they said that it was a positive meeting. And the 6th round of the trade dialogue will happen very soon. So President Trump becoming the first global leader to wish Prime Minister Modi, there are a lot of optics in this as well.
Absolutely.
So that's...
Aditya, hold that thought. Hold that thought. I'll come back to you on the optics bit. Let's also get in Shiv Aroor, Managing Editor, NDTV, joining me on the broadcast, the phone line. Shiv, every word matters at this level. And the fact that Prime Minister Modi has said, I got a phone call from my friend Donald Trump, that tells you that how things are now looking up from what they were just a fortnight back.
Very true, Gauri. In a relationship where the personal bonhomie between Trump and Modi has been such a defining feature, I think both sides have been shocked by the deterioration in the language that has been used by Trump over the last few weeks, which has taken the relationship to a historic kind of turbulent low. But since last week, when Trump, called Prime Minister Modi his very good friend, and now calling him to wish him on his birthday, and Prime Minister Modi reciprocating with a very warm message, calling him, my good friend Donald Trump, and also talking about supporting the, peace initiative in Ukraine, is a hugely substantive message that I think goes beyond just the usual dynamic between these two leaders of two large democracies. They have put themselves and their personalities front and center in this relationship. That has come in for some criticism in the recent past, as you've seen, Gauri, as a result of the manner in which things sort of nosedived as a result of the trade talks and the tariffs, etc. But this is Prime Minister Modi and Donald Trump very much in their personal element. Their affection for each other is on prominent display, as it has been at different times in the past. We must remember that the damage caused to the India-US relationship as a result of the last few weeks is something that needs to be kept in view at all times. Trump continues to be a whimsical politician, who deploys affection and hostility and aggression at whim, depending on what his mood is and what really he wants from an administrative perspective. But I think the affection and the bonhomie between the two leaders is very much real. That cannot be ignored. And it should also be recognized, as you and your team will be tracking very closely, Gauri, that apart from the bromance or the friendship and the affection between the two leaders, the last line of Prime Minister Modi's tweet is perhaps the most important. That might actually be the big icebreaker. India has not acknowledged America's role in the ceasefire during Sindur. But here you have Prime Minister Modi saying that India supports Trump's initiative for peace in Ukraine is a huge comment to make. It is a concession. It is a diplomatic, olive branch in many ways from Modi to Trump, and it should be interpreted really as perhaps the most substantive, gift that the Indian government has given to Trump. Trump wants acknowledgement. He wants the initiative in Ukraine and Russia to be seen as his own personal project. And here is Modi pretty much giving him that. It's not a small feat.
Absolutely. And let's get Vishnu Shom on just that bit, the significance of the last line of the PM's message, which is that we support your initiatives towards a peaceful resolution of the Ukraine conflict. When you dovetail that to the Russian oil purchase by India, India's autonomous decision to protect its energy interests, all of that sort of come back and become the larger piece as far as this entire relationship is concerned. Vishnu, your thoughts on that bit that has been highlighted?
And, I think, Gauri, the key point over here is that, we need to ensure that we don't get ahead of ourselves. We often tend to do that because we can get very excitable and happy, and, we've seen this low in the India-US relationship, and now there's something to cheer about. And I think that's all positive, it's all good, but, I think as Daniel was mentioning and as Shiv reiterated, it's important to understand that, Trump has been fairly whimsical, and that what he says today may not be the same as what he says tomorrow. That said, he has repeatedly said, has Trump, that Modi is his friend, despite all of what we've seen in the last several weeks. He keeps every second sentence sort of saying, Modi has been my friend. So that friendship endures, that's great. And as far as the statement on Ukraine is concerned, India supports all initiatives towards bringing an end to the war. And that's something that our Prime Minister has conveyed both to President Putin and to President Zelensky as well. So I don't think India has really stated, or the Prime Minister has stated anything incredibly different or new about India's foreign policy. But I do believe that the timing of the statement is significant. It comes when both sides are trying to figure out a trade deal. It does indicate that after several hours of talks, the tone of this message seems to indicate that there could be some progress forward.